Back here at Melbourne Ballpark as we get set for Game 3 of this 4-game series. Michael Dixon and Ed Wyatt coming to you from inside where it's nice, warm, and dry. It's been a wet weekend at Melbourne Ballpark. But, Ed, we're inside the corporate suite, and now that I've been in here a couple of times, especially after games and have a chance to see what it's like with a lot of people in here, there really doesn't seem to be a better corporate experience in Australia than this one.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? melbourneaces.com.au, obviously, if you want to get involved in that. Aces in Game 3 tonight. It's going to be another wet, cold one, and the Aces need to get some runs on the board.
Well, we've seen the conditions. They just tend to favor the pitchers when it's cold, It's wet, and it's been that way for the first 2 games. The Aces have had the opportunities to score, just haven't been able to come up with that big hit. So you feel like anything needs to change, or do you just have to stay patient?
You have to stay patient. The Aces need to get some men on board. They've been doing that. Need to get those men around and maybe get an early lead. Been playing some catch-up ball for a lot of the season, so an early lead tonight would be really important.
Well, Ed knows that I'm the stats guy, so I got one for you. Through 10 games, the Aces ERA, 2.96. It's only the third time in franchise history they've had an ERA lower than 3 through the first 10 games, and the other 2 times are the 2 lowest team ERAs in franchise history. So what we've seen so far, historically, we've been able to expect for the rest of the year, and so far it seems like everything is sustainable. They are just lights out.
Yeah, absolutely right. And tonight we're going to see Gunnar Kynes, who played here a couple years ago, won a title with the Aces. Really looking forward to seeing him on the mound.
Yeah, specifically if you're the Aces, you've got one of your best ERAs through 10 games, and you just added the league ERA champion from a year ago.
Right.
So things are looking up here at Melbourne Ballpark. Game 3 of 4, it's the Melbourne Aces and the Brisbane Bandits. We've got the first pitch here in a little bit. You're watching the Brick Lane Brewing pregame show, and we've got your starting lineups next. This is Aces TV.
And that one sails over the wall. Fire me up, Jared Dale. Oh, and the Aces double the lead. It's 4-2. Cyril George, double play.
From Melbourne Ballpark in Altona, we get set for Game 3 of this 4-game series. It's the Melbourne Aces and the Brisbane Bandits in Round 3 of the ABL regular season. Michael Dixon alongside Ed Wyatt, and you're saying to yourself, well, this game feels a little bit later. That's because they had to push it back 30 minutes, the start time, because of, you can probably see it, pretty wet infield, but they did a great job getting the field ready for play here tonight, and as a result, we're ready to go in Game 3 of this 4-game series. Ed, welcome back onto the broadcast. It's always a pleasure, and we talked a lot about that Perth series and how it felt like a mirror image the first 2 games of this series. The good news, the Aces responded on that opening round series against Perth and won the last 2, split that 2-2.
Absolutely right, and that's what we're looking for tonight for the Aces, to get back and win a couple and come away with a split here in this series. As you look at the Aces dugout, we're in the red hats tonight. I like that. I saw them pregame walking around. Look really, really good. You did mention the weather, and it is. I was actually walking around speaking to Mick Warren, who's in charge of the ground here. It is 15 degrees, so the temperature is dropping a bit. Humidity still high, 93. Bit of wind, which is really swirling tonight. It's not necessarily that left field to right field thing we've seen the last couple nights, so could be tricky for the outfielders. We're going to look at that. Chance of rain, 24%. Doesn't look like it's going to rain much more, so we will have a ball game tonight.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, of course, the rain staying away. Well, Melbourne gets ready to take the field, and here's how the Aces line up in Game 3 defensively. Left to right in the outfield, it starts with the left fielder, Chris Burke. Now, we had the confusion last night. We thought perhaps Burke came out. He did not. He stayed in, so Burke makes his second consecutive start out there in left field. He is followed by Aaron Whitefield, the center fielder. Whitefield, in yesterday's game, had a base hit, had a stolen base, was caught stealing. Aces trying to manufacture a few more runs on the base paths. Ryu Sugisawa in right field. And how good has he been here in the early going of 2023-24? Jared Dale left the game yesterday, but he's back in the lineup here tonight, so that is good. Jared Dale playing third. Robbie Glendenning moves back to his familiar spot at shortstop. He started now. Once this game begins, 10 of the 11 games at shortstop. George Khalil has started all 11 at second base, and he's been a rock defensively for the Aces. Darryl George makes only his second start of the season at first base. So Greg Bird will DH. We'll talk about him in a moment. Sho Fukunaga is catching, and the Aces don't really have a backup catcher right now if you have to use Chris Burke in the outfield. So Fukunaga starting for the third consecutive game in this series. Of course, just mentioned Greg Bird getting a night off in the field, but not a night off in the lineup. He's reached in 9 consecutive games. And on the mound, how about Gunnar Kynes? He is back. He's had an outstanding ABL career, the ABL ERA champion a season ago. And Ed, we'll talk about the statistics for the Melbourne pitching staff. They've been so good through the first 10 games, and they add the league's ERA leader, a guy who has a sub-3.5 ERA in his ABL career. So an already good pitching staff just got that much better.
Yeah, and of course fans will remember Kynes from that successful 2021 season where the Aces won. He was 4-0 that year.
Yeah.
So we're bringing back a guy who knows this ballpark, knows how this league works, obviously. I think it's a great signing, and you're right. It's just going to beef up that pitching staff a bit more.
Fascinating guy, Kynes, 60-41 in his professional career, a 3.30 ERA in his entire pro career spanning 9 seasons. Just about everywhere he's been fantastic.
Yeah, and you know what else? He's a professional video game player. That's the other thing.
Is he really?
Took a year off, I think, to play. I want to say NHL. I don't know my video games. NHL 13.
They call that the cool kids call that Chell. That's what they call it. It's Chell. It's not NHL, it's Chell.
Okay.
So a professional pitcher who's pitched to the very high level throughout his career, and I guess you just taught me that he's a pro Chell player as well. Gunnar Kynes takes the mound when we come back. We've got the Brisbane starting lineup and the first pitch. This is the pregame show, and the first pitch next. Well, after about a 30-minute delay, we are ready for baseball in Game 3 of this 4-game series. The Melbourne Aces and the Brisbane Bandits. The Bandits have won the first 2 of this 4-game set. But again, the Aces lost the first 2 games of that series against Perth and bounced back to split the series in round 1. The Bandits line up like this. Milo Rushford, the center fielder, leading things off, followed by Dermot Fritsch. He has been so good in this series. Third baseman batting second. Jack Pineda, the shortstop, hitting third. Tayden Hall, the first baseman, is cleaning up. Andrew Campbell, the left fielder, he was the hero on Thursday night with that grand slam, but much different game for him last night, 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. Left fielder batting fifth. Alex Skepton in right bats sixth. Mitch Nilsson DHing batting seventh. Only one change, and that is a 1-for-1 swap. Battaglia for So Battaglia, the backup catcher, makes his first start behind the plate tonight. And Will Riley, the second baseman, is batting ninth. We'll talk more about Brian Fitzpatrick in the bottom of the first, but the Bandits are playing well. They've won 4 consecutive games. Brisbane with a negative run differential, but they're 6-4 with this 4-game winning streak, and the Bandits are playing as well as anybody right now.
Finding ways to win. You mentioned that catcher swap with Battaglia, the veteran. I spoke with Hun Chan before the game. Really lovely fellow, really interesting guy. I told him that we talked about his donations, his charitable acts and things like that. He was sort of very humbled by that.
Yeah.
Super English, incredible, really well-spoken guy, really enjoys his time. Said he loves this country, loves Australia. So unfortunately, you don't get to see him tonight because it's been fun to watch behind the plate. I'm guessing he'll be back tomorrow, just taking a night off.
Pretty good chance, at the very least, maybe in a DH. Well, we're ready for another Gunnar Kynes start. It's been a couple of years since he pitched here for Melbourne at Melbourne Ballpark. Last year, the ERA champion in the league with the Perth Heat. And Kynes, 60-41 in his professional career, a 3.30 ERA, the 30-year-old from Conway, South Carolina there in the United States, and a product of the University of Mount Olive in North Carolina. Great to see Gunnar Kynes back here at Melbourne Ballpark. Milo Rushford leads things off, and Kynes with the first pitch home. It is low for ball one, officially underway at 7:34.
Rushford struggling a little bit in the series. He's 0 for 6. Has been on base 4 times with walks, 2 strikeouts. So looking for his first hit of the series.
Lifts this down the left field line, and that is a foul ball. Yeah, Rushford hits in the first 5 games altogether, but just 1 for 17 since. Did walk 3 times in the opener on Thursday night. Gunnar Kynes looks in with that red ball cap. That was a flashy look. And just off the outside corner for ball 2. Umpires tonight, Yuta Suyama behind the plate. Casey Cook at first. Subaru Aoki at second. Jeff Dunn at third. 4-man crews with a combination of the Australian and Japanese umpires. 3 balls and a strike here from Gunnar Kynes to Milo Rushford. Well, Brisbane won 4-2 on opening night. 2 big swings in that game. Both came in the 6th inning. A grand slam for Campbell made it 4-0. Greg Bird with his first got Melbourne back in the game, but Bandits held on to win. And then last night, Brisbane with a shutout victory, and the Aces are trying to salvage Game 3 of this 4-game series.
I think the extra half-hour delay, of course, has given people a chance to have a few more drinks. So we could have a very lively crowd here tonight.
And a payoff pitch fouled back. We'll do it again.
Good crowd for a cold night.
It is, yeah.
Really looks good.
Unfortunate, too, with the weather the way it is, but props to those folks who are braving the elements to come out and watch some baseball before the Aces go away for a few rounds. And a called strike 3 on the outside corner. Well, you're going to see a lot of that from Gunnar Kynes. Paints the fastball over the outer half.
Yep.
And Milo Rushford is down looking to start the ball game.
Brings up that man, Dermot Fritsch, coming into it really struggling. Currently 5 for 8 in the series.
Last year with Perth, Kynes 4-3 with a 2.86 ERA in 10 starts. All-time at home in his ABL career, 5-3 with a 3.79 ERA in 13 starts. He has been unbelievable in his ABL career on the road, 6-2 with a 2.30. So, with a ground ball over towards third, a nice play from Dale. In foul ground, a throw to first. Oh my goodness! Jared Dale with an outstanding pick. And Darryl George puts the cherry on top. Dermot Fritsch, who has been almost impossible to retire in this series. Jared Dale with an outstanding play. There's 2 outs here in the top of the first.
Take a quick look at it here. There's the down on his backside. Gets up and just fires that to George, and sure enough, got him.
Well, Pineda fouls this down the left field line, 0-1. But mentioning how good Kynes has been, just a little north of 2 with the ERA on the road, and a great time for him to step in because the Aces at home this weekend, but they'll be on the road for each of the next 3 series. So Kynes, who's been outstanding on the road in his ABL career, will make a few road starts here in the next few weeks. Trying to go 1-2-3 in his first inning back.
Pineda 3 for 9 in the series so far.
2 balls and a strike to him. 5-game hitting streak for the Royals product, and now 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2 outs. Kynes on the mound for Melbourne. And the Aces rocking the white uniforms. Yeah, right down the middle for strike 3. A familiar sight. Gunnar Kynes, 3 up, 3 down with a couple of strikeouts in the scoreless top of the first. We go to the bottom half. The Aces coming up on Aces TV.
Light and Easy have been named Best Healthy Meal Delivery Service again, but you won't find us stopping to celebrate. We're busy making it easy for Aussies to achieve their well-being goals, and the results speak for themselves. Light and Easy, just good food and great results.
Aussie gardeners are best served by Aussie tools, built specifically for our unique environment and conditions. Back in the 1890s, Leonard Chambers and William Thompson started a beekeeping supply business in Melbourne. Little would they know that their company would go on to change how Australians garden for well over a century. Cyclone is ingrained into our country's history and our way of life. Our tools are long-lasting and purpose-built for hard work.
We've been making quality tools for over a century.
They last that long, you can hand them down to the next generation.
Good, quality, honest product that the Australian people have grown to love.
It's not an Aussie shed without a cyclone.
My biggest takeaway of being here for 34 years is just sense of pride in the product.
Australians buy good products. So if they keep on buying, we keep on making, so we're here.
Cyclone tools made for Australians.
Well, Melbourne Aces baseball powered by Business Network International. BNI International is flourishing across Melbourne's West End, Geelong. Local businesses, including the Aces, join BNI for professional development, networking opportunities, and the increased business prospects. Find your local BNI chapter to tap a wealth of resources and join a winning team. And folks look on from the party deck. Ed, you know a few folks there here tonight.
Richmond Central Football Club, I believe. Dane Roy, who former punter at the University of Houston, is up there with a crew of about 20.
Go Cougars.
Looking for a new head coach, by the way.
That is true. After a 4-win season. Aaron Whitefield leads off here in the bottom of the first. There is no score, and a big lefty, Brian Fitzpatrick, on the mound. Fitzpatrick allowed 4 runs in 3 innings of his ABL debut on the 18th against Adelaide, but now the reigning pitcher of the round. An outstanding start last week against Sydney. 5 innings, 1 hit, no runs allowed, no walks, 8 strikeouts. 10th round pick of the Brewers from Rutgers in 2022. And a big left-handed arm out there for Brisbane in Game 3. He's got a live arm with huge potential. He just has to stay healthy. But the strikeout numbers are great for Fitzpatrick. In fact, over 10 strikeouts per 9 at every level he's pitched. The walks have been an issue for him in pro baseball. But the stuff is there. 2 balls and 2 strikes here to Aaron Whitefield.
Whitefield 1 for 9 so far in the 2 games. We're looking to get on track here early, as we mentioned, sort of one of our keys to the game. Get on the board early.
Now there's a flare to shallow center. Rushford coming in. And he's got enough room to make the catch. 1 out here in the bottom of the first inning. Darryl George at first base tonight is batting second and stands in. Fitzpatrick, a guy who slowly started to put things together during his time at Rutgers. Dealt with injuries and didn't really start to show his full potential until he had a great summer with the Brewster Whitecaps in the Cape Cod League in 2021. Now, it's a collegiate wooden bat league. You guessed it, Cape Cod. Here's a rocket from Darryl down the left field line into the left field corner. George around first, on his way to second, and he is there standing up. So Darryl George with a 1-out double here in the bottom of the first, and the Aces with a run-scoring chance for Robbie Glendenning.
That was a perfect spot to hit that. Didn't even have to run in the second, really. Just walked the last few meters into the bag. But great stuff from Darryl. Like we said, get on base early, get some runs early. We'll watch the replay here. Just lifts that down the line into the corner. See a little bit of water down in that corner.
Yeah, and I wonder, too, if that might slow the ball down a little more. That's why Darryl had no urgency to get the second, because he didn't need to.
Yeah, that's right.
Watched Campbell out there in left field have to go dig that ball out. So RBI chance here for Glendenning with George at second. No score in the bottom of the first inning. See if Melbourne can jump on the board first here in the first. Robbie takes high, 1 ball and 1 strike. Anyway, so talk about the collegiate wood bat leagues. The holy grail is the Cape Cod League. That is where the best prospects end up going. So anytime you have a guy who pitched in the Cape Cod League, you know, unless he was a local player who fills those rosters late in the season when some of the big names end up leaving and going back to get ready for fall baseball at their respective colleges, you know they're there for a reason. And that's exactly why Fitzpatrick was there. He had a great year with Brewster in 2021. The Whitecaps, as they're known.
It's a good name.
Was then pretty good in limited action with the Rutgers in 2022. Again, had a tough time pitching with much consistency, but in the summer of 2022 with Brewster. He went back. This was before the draft. 19 innings, no runs. Walked 2 and struck out 19. Here's a ground ball over to third off the glove of Fritsch. And George safe at third. Glendening at first. We'll wait and see how they rule that. But for the time being, they're on the corners with 1 out. It's a base hit for Robbie Glendening.
Yeah, that has to be a hit after some of the other scores we've seen earlier in this series.
Well, a 9-game on-base streak for Glendening snapped yesterday, but a tough play, too, for Fritsch and a sharp line drive from Robbie. So Glendening aboard. A couple of base hits here in this first inning and a chance for Greg Bird to try and get the Aces on the board. George at third, Glendening at first. No score here in the bottom of the first. And Greg takes strike 1. So anytime, though, a guy like Fitzpatrick, 19 scoreless innings with 2 walks and 19 strikeouts against some of the best collegiate players in the country, well, that's going to pique the eye of some of the major league clubs that were already looking at him. He went in the 10th round to the Brewers in 2022. Just swinging a foul tip from Bird. It's 0-2. And then in 2022, spent time with the rookie affiliate. Rookie in single A in 2023. Just got to pitch more, only 34 1/3 innings over 2 seasons. Pretty much why he's here. And that's the book for you on Ryan Fitzpatrick and how he found his way to the mound here at Melbourne Ballpark. Starting game 3 for Brisbane against the Aces. 0-2. And a fastball high.
If he ever gets a biography, you may be the guy to write it. Never know.
Or at least I've got all the information.
Story.
Yeah. Whoever does want to write it, I can get you started.
No, you're right. It's very interesting to see him build his way up to this point.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
That's good pitching.
Well, he elevates a fastball, and Bird down on strikes 2 down here at the bottom of the first.
Yeah, it's a big out for Brisbane right there. Dangerous hitter.
The Aces are looking for that first hit with runners in scoring position in this series.
It's 13, right? Without
at least, I beg your pardon, first hit to drive in a run.
Yes.
Glendening had the base hit with with George at second, but yeah, they're going to drive in that run.
Yep.
Try and jump on the board here early in game 3. We talk about the series against Perth and how Melbourne changed the fortunes with that dominant win in game 3. Started with the outstanding performance from Lewis Thorpe. You've got Gunnar Kynes on the mound, who you love to have in a situation like this, trying to get a win. Here's the pitch. Lifted in the air to center field, sending Rushford back. And he's there to make the catch. The inning is over. No runs, couple of hits, 2 left. We go to the second inning. No score from Melbourne Ballpark.
All-Star Access Hire are your access equipment specialists. We have an extensive range of state-of-the-art equipment and we pride ourselves on delivering outstanding customer service. We have the youngest fleet of equipment in Victoria and we are consistently adding new machines. We get to know our customers and form partnerships with them. This video is of our partnership with the Victorian Government at Reservoir Station. All-Star Access Hire are proud sponsors of the Melbourne Aces and our All-Star Bar.
4, 5, and 6 coming through for Brisbane in the top of the second inning. That's Hall, Campbell, and Skepton. Michael Dixon, Ed Wyatt, our entire Sportscast Australia crew saying hello from Melbourne Ballpark in Altona. A chilly, windy, and damp Saturday night. Kind of been that way all weekend, but found a way to get every inning in thus far. And perhaps that didn't feel as likely earlier this afternoon, but the rain cleared up and all things considered, with how nasty the weather was this morning into the early afternoon, it's actually kind of a pleasant evening.
It is.
Here at Melbourne Ballpark. Now, maybe a little bit easier for the broadcasters to say with glass in front of us and a roof over our heads, but nevertheless, good to see all the folks piled in for this Saturday evening. Gunnar Kynes 3 up, 3 down in the first. And Burke over in left field. Make it 4 up, 4 down with Taden Hall retired. On the first pitch of the second inning, Hall now 3 for 23. So he's in a rut.
He's 0 for 9 in the series as well.
4 strikeouts the first 2 games. Bandits look on, having won 4 consecutive games. Negative run differential, but doesn't matter when you're 6 and 4. Second place in the early going of the ABL season. Hard to believe, though, we're already into, you split up the season into fourths. We're already into the second section of the year. It's amazing how quickly the season goes here in Australia. Ground ball over towards third. Tough play for Dale with a shift on it. And he makes it look easy. Jared Dale with an outstanding play to take a base hit from Fritsch into first. And at that time, very smooth to get Campbell. And Gunnar Kynes has retired all 5 he's faced. 2 down in the second. Here comes Alex Skepton.
Campbell now 1 for 9 in the series, but that one was essentially the game-winning grand slam in game 1.
Is he running? Right? Yeah. So, I mean, yes, he was running. Cool.
Lefty to righty. And the first pitch from Kynes is inside for ball 1. Well, Kynes has fared well against Brisbane in his career. Say that against just about anybody in this league, but 2-0 with a 2.79 career ERA against the Bandits. This is 5th start. He's 2-1 with a 4.24 ERA all time here at Melbourne Ballpark in 5 starts. Here's a rocket, and Dale can't get to this one. Rolls into that corner. Skepton on his way to second, and his hot start continues. He's now 9 for 19 to start the season. 6 hits in Sydney against Sydney last week, and he's got his 3rd hit of this series. 2-out double, first base runner for Brisbane. And the inning continues for Mitch Nielsen.
Yeah, well hit into that corner. Looked like that Darryl George double, but puts him on second with 2 outs.
So first base runner for Kynes to work around. And he's facing a guy in Mitch Nielsen without a hit against lefties this season. 125 average, so it's been a struggle for him. First pitch high from Kynes at ball 1. Lefties have actually fared better against Kynes with the average in his ABL career. Hitting .246 as opposed to righties batting .214, but of the 14 home runs that Kynes has allowed in the ABL, 12 of those have come against right-handed hitting. So while Kynes has been better against righties with the average, righties do tend to have a little bit more success hitting for power, but again, no one really has a ton of success against Gunnar Kynes. He has been
in this ballpark
outstanding. A sub-3 ERA in his ABL career, 2.98, 27 starts. And a weak ground ball foul ahead. 1 ball, 2 strikes here on Mitch Nielsen. Kynes an interesting guy too. 5-5, 2.36 ERA in his MILB career. Time with Miami, time with the New York Mets, but just never really could stick for one reason or another, and he's pretty much been in independent baseball or pitching internationally throughout his whole career, despite how well he has pitched. Here's the 1-2. A rocket foul off the Melbourne dugout on the first base side. We'll do it again here to ball and 2 strikes.
3rd game in the series, of course. Game 4 tomorrow, 1 p.m. at the ballpark. Be nice to have a nice afternoon sun, but no guarantees.
We're missing the warm weather by a couple of days. It'll be hot on Monday and Tuesday.
I did notice that.
Kynes again with a 1-2. Foul back to the screen. We'll do it once more. Kynes a high strikeout guy. Brisbane with more strikeouts than any other lineup in the league thus far. 105 of those for the Bandits. Strikeouts are up league-wide. Hitting league-wide is down, no matter where you look. The pitchers have been dominant. And Kynes trying to work around a 2-out double. Here's the pitch. Good work there by Fukunaga with the ball in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes. In fact, Melbourne pitching with a 2.96 ERA through 10 starts this season. It's the 3rd best ERA that Melbourne's had through 10 starts in franchise history. And the only 2 years that were better were the 2 best years that Melbourne had statistically as a staff. So historically, when the Aces have started well, they pitched well all season. It's a sign of good things to come. 2-2. Just missed.
Woo.
Tried the breaking ball in the lower inside corner, and that is a tough take, but Nilsson still alive, 3-2.
Not happy with that. Fans here did not like that call. Get a look at it again. Maybe a little low.
It is close. Full count, 2 outs. Skepton at second with a 2-out double to keep this inning alive for Nilsson. Looking for his first hit against a lefty.
Steps off to take a look over at Skepton at second base.
Nice energetic crowd here tonight. Here's the payoff pitch. Cold strike 3. He ends the second just like he did the first, and Kynes with his 3rd strikeout works around a 2-out double from Skepton. And we go to the bottom of the second. The Bandits nothing and the Aces nothing.
When enjoying a punt, easy does it with Punt 123. Punt123.bet is your home for all your punting needs with same race multis and same game multi options, including daily promotions on all the major sporting and racing events. It's punting made easy. Get in the game with Punt 123. Visit punt123.bet or download the app today. Gamble responsibly. If gambling becomes an issue for you, call 1-800-858-858.
At the Sporting Globe, we're a little different to other pubs and bars. We have more than just cooks, we have chefs. We have more than bar service, we have table service. We have more than specials, we have specialties. We have more than live sporting events, we have atmosphere. And we have more than customers, we have fans. It's more than a sports bar, it's a Sporting Globe.
At U Blinds Australia, it's our great low prices that make the difference. In our end of summer Aloha clearance sale, save from 30% up to 50% off our range of blinds, shutters and awnings. U Blinds Australia, more value for you.
Melbourne Aces baseball brought to you by Dasher and Fisher, beginning in 2017 with a vision to specialize in gins that speak of place and express Tasmania's remoteness and untouched beauty. Taste the rich, fertile soils and pure Cradle Mountain snowmelt in every drop of Dasher and Fisher Tasmanian gin. That's just a can of Sprite, and understandably so for those in attendance. A little bit young, too young to enjoy some gin, but maybe one of these days.
Drink responsibly, be of age, certainly, as Jared Dale steps in.
Already made a couple of really nice plays defensively at third.
Indeed.
Dale Burke and Fukunaga coming through to face Brian Fitzpatrick, the tough lefty. Got around a couple of one-out base hits for Melbourne in the first. There is no score here from Melbourne Ballpark. The Bandits and the Aces in Game 3 of this 4-game series, and Brisbane has won the first 2. Dale still looking for that first hit at 2023-24. His 3rd start of this series. Good to see him back in the lineup. A little concerning that he got pulled yesterday, knowing he's been trying to get back to 100% from an injury. That's why he didn't feature in the first 2 rounds of the season. So he started on Thursday and then started again yesterday, but left the game pretty early.
Yeah, I was pleased to see he was in the lineup when I arrived at the ballpark today. You're absolutely right. We were concerned a little bit when he had to leave the game early last night, but good to see him in here. Aces veteran, utility player, can do a lot of things. Great guy to have around.
A lot of mileage, too, for a kid who's only 23.
Absolutely.
This is his 518th professional game as a 23-year-old.
Yeah, it's something special.
Got some time in the San Diego Padres system as well. Two balls and 2 strikes to him, leading off here in the bottom of the second. On a cool night in Altona. And we'll do it once again. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Finale of this series tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock, the first pitch time. Then the Aces will hit the road for 3 consecutive series. I think that did get a piece of Dale, but seems all right, kicking around the dirt. Standing in once more. Fitzpatrick agrees with Battaglia and deals home. That's fisted into center field and down for Jared Dale's first hit of the season. That'll feel good for Jared. Leadoff base hit here in the bottom of the second, and here comes Chris Burke.
Like you said, that'll work. Gets Jared off the schneid here in 2023-24. Just makes a little bit of a connection. Drops it into center field.
You could tell Fitzpatrick probably felt like he left that up a little bit higher than he wanted. Hit 2-strike hitting from Jared Dale, and now Chris Burke pulls back a bunt. I didn't want to throw that out there, but with as tough as it's been for lefties against Fitzpatrick so far, I mean, a small sample size, but hasn't given up a hit against lefties. Wondered if I might see Burke square a bunt. Pulled it back, took strike one. This time,
tough.
Swings away, he's behind the count, 0-2. So Fitzpatrick, a high strikeout guy in the driver's seat, came in with 11 strikeouts in 8 innings. Again, he struggled in his first start against Adelaide, but he's the reigning pitcher of the round with a great start last week against Sydney. And Burke rolls this over to second. Only one play for Riley. And Chris Burke is out number 1 here in the bottom of the second.
Yeah, you can see that was such a slow roller that the only play for Will Riley was to go to first. So the Aces have a runner at second, but we lose it out.
Good work, though, nonetheless, by Burke to advance the runner.
Correct.
As tough as it's been against Fitzpatrick with left-handed hitting this season, we'll take that. First pitch, and Sho Fukunaga pops it foul. Well, Sho's had a very good series. He has to do a lot right now with essentially no backup catcher. Ideally, you'd have one behind him, but Chris Burke is the logical option. Right now, he's having to play in the outfield. Fukunaga 3 for 6 in this series. And his first multi-hit game as a Melbourne Ace a couple of nights ago, and then had a double in last night's game. Chance here to pick up his first Aces RBI. No score at the bottom of the second with Dale at second and 1 out. 3 hits already for Melbourne against Fitzpatrick. Had given up just 4 hits in 8 innings coming in. That hits him.
Oh, boy. Oof. Yeah, that's smarted.
Well, Fukunaga in some understandable pain. That looked like it caught him up near the elbow or maybe the hand. You never want to see the hand.
No.
He's being attended to, and John Diebel coming out as well.
And you alluded to the fact that, that means Chris Burke would have to come in and catch, right? If Fukunaga cannot continue. Puts him in a tough spot.
And elbow did get him on the elbow.
Right on the elbow. He does have an elbow pad on there, but look at the slow-mo replay coming in.
It looked like it got him right above the elbow guard.
Pad. Yeah, you're right.
That's tough.
Oh, can tell it hurts.
Yep. You would say in theory that better the elbow than the hand just because of how delicate the hand is, and he's working out that left hand. Looks like he'll stay in the game. So Fitzpatrick hits Sho Fukunaga. And the Aces, for the second consecutive inning, have a couple of base runners on. Let's see if they can cash in.
There he goes.
Take the first lead here tonight. Nice reception for Sho Fukunaga as he walks down the first base line. Boy, they're asking him to do a lot right now, and Sho has delivered.
Sure has. Really love the competitive spirit he's got, in addition to his talent. All right, George Khalil now. Big opportunity, Michael.
For a big bat, 994 OPS, second in the league coming in. Had a double last night. hitting .321 in the early going. What a start to the year it's been for George Khalil. Of course, a lot of that production came last weekend against Canberra when he had a 3-hit game, a multi-home run game mixed in there. Product of South Carolina, but an Australian native. Played collegiately in Columbia.
Good league, the SEC, some very good baseball programs.
Yeah, I've heard that's a pretty good league, right? Pretty good if you end up going to play there. And Khalil was
absolutely
very good in his Gamecock career. Yes, outside, and both runners advance. That was a breaking ball that never really broke for Fitzpatrick, and the Aces have a couple in scoring position here with one out in the bottom of the second. Great chance to cash in.
And this is, again, not to harp on this, what we talked about in the pregame. Get runners on base, get them around. So we've got a real opportunity here now with runners on second and third. Get ahead, right? Don't play that come from behind baseball that the Aces have had to play. There's a real chance here.
Here's the 1-2. And that's low. Squeaks through Battaglia, but not far enough for Jared Dale to think about breaking from third. So 2 balls and 2 strikes here to George Khalil. The Aces stranded a couple in the first, trying to avoid doing that here in the second. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Chased a high fastball. Second strikeout for Fitzpatrick. And a big strikeout with an elevated fastball against Greg Burr with a couple of runners on in the first inning. Strikes out Khalil with the elevated fastball here with a couple on in the second inning, and it's up to Aaron Whitefield to try and cash in.
We're seeing from these experienced pitchers working out of these dangerous situations on both sides.
First pitch, strike one to Aaron Whitefield.
That's a really good pitch.
Fitzpatrick jumps ahead. Dale at third, Fukunaga at second. And the count squares, 1 ball, 1 strike. Whitefield, a couple of RBIs last weekend against Canberra. A chance to pick up a pair perhaps with a base hit here. With a second inning against Fitzpatrick. And a ground ball foul. It's 1-2.
See, the wind has settled a bit when you get a wide shot here. And you look at the flags in left and center field. They're a little bit of blowing around, but nothing like the last couple of nights where we've seen some really strong wind.
Yeah, pretty much no chance to hit for any sort of power out to left field. Could be different here tonight. Here's the 1-2. Swing and a fly ball out to left. Campbell back. In front of the track, he makes the catch, and the inning is over. Job well done by Fitzpatrick. He's worked around base runners in each of the first 2 innings, and we go to the third scoreless from Melbourne Ballpark.
One Love is there for the moments with the people you love the most. To share the highs and the lows together. It's the one for all people, all times, and all places. Brick Lane's One Love Pale Ale. It's the one for all.
Well, that is the Cyclone tool shed down the third base and left field line, and you can tell it is jam-packed here tonight. We've got a lot of folks. I think that's the same crew that's in the party deck, and there's so many of them that they had to open up some more space for them down the left field line in the Cyclo tool shed. So they are enjoying their Saturday night. A little cool, a little windy for the second day of summer, but still having fun nonetheless. How about that young ball player? Two of them.
Good crowd tonight.
Yep.
Especially given the rain. Great to see people out here. And Mick Warren and the crew did a great job with the field.
Really did.
And I did talk to Mick, and he said it's much better than Thursday night's field. So if you remember Thursday night where it rained pretty much the entire night, this is better tonight.
And they were working on that field basically once the rain stopped at about 1:30, and they were mixing in a lot of the dry stuff around home plate. Obviously, Mick would be able to explain it a lot more scientifically than I would, but
the dry stuff.
They found a way to get the
that's a quote that's going out.
Ready to go.
Michael Dixon's quote of the year: "The dry stuff," which really is what it is. Let's be honest.
Had to put a lot of that around home plate, also on a mound. What's going on here?
They're starting the influencers young, I think, is what they're doing.
Filming some TikToks. Well, in case you're wondering about the delay, Sho Fukunaga had to take an extra second. He was on the base paths when that bottom of the second came to an end. So, got to give him a little bit of time to put the catching gear back on, and Gunnar Kynes ready for inning number 3. He's given up just one hit. That was the 2-out double to Skepton. Skepton tucked down the third base line. 3 strikeouts, all 3 of them backwards Ks for Gunnar Kynes through the first 2 innings. He'll face Battaglia, Riley, and Rushford. That's 8-9-1. First time seeing Battaglia. In fact, this is the first change in the Brisbane lineup as the Australian catcher stands in. We talked to manager Shane Watson about Battaglia and just the amount of experience and wisdom he can impart on all of these pitchers who come over. And he hits this high in the air down the left field line, but a foul ball. It is 1-2. Battaglia has been around for a while. His 13th season in Brisbane. He was on the Team Australia World Baseball Classic team, and
had a tough year last year. He was injured a lot of last year. Didn't really have an opportunity to play. That was hit really well.
It was.
Michael.
Well, there's an elevated fastball and 4 strikeouts for Gunnar Kynes.
Glad that one went foul because that was hit hard as anything here tonight.
Yes.
A 1 out and a great start for Gunnar Kynes, the reigning ERA champ back in Melbourne. He was with Perth. We haven't even talked about his season in Adelaide a few years ago, his introduction to the ABL as he deals strike 1 to the knees to Will Riley batting 9th. But Kynes, of course, won the Claxton Shield with the Aces in 2020, 2021. The year before that in Adelaide, he made 9 starts and pitched to a 1.50 ERA. He gave up 12 runs, 7 of those earned in 42 innings. Struck out 42 batters in 42 frames. And the South Carolina native deals a foul ball from Riley down the left field line. It's 1-2.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that's just perfect for this league, isn't he? I mean, his stats everywhere are good, but particularly in the ABL.
He's coming off a good year, too, in Gastonia in the Atlantic League, 12-4 with a 3.33 ERA. Pitching not too far away from home. Made 22 appearances and 18 starts with Gastonia, fairly new ball club in that Atlantic League. Can't get the call there. It's 2-2.
Crowd wanted that one.
Went to Mount Olive, University of in Mount Olive, North Carolina. 30th round pick of the Marlins, a while back. And the count now full. Kynes ready again. And a payout pitch. Line to center. Whitefield back, still going, and right in front of the track. Makes a nice catch. Aaron Whitefield covers a lot of ground, and there's 2 outs here in the third.
Yeah, he got a real bit of that, did Riley. But you're right, Whitefield was on it. Had to turn and run a little bit, but was never really a threat to do anything other than be a long out.
Well, 2 outs. Nobody on, top of the order for a second time. Here's Milo Rushford. One for his last 18 and down to the count 0-1 with a big breaking ball there from Gunnar Kynes.
There's Aaron Whitefield patrolling center field.
That is a big league center fielder. 8 major league games for Whitefield.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's time with the Twins and the Angels. 1-1 here to Rushford, who struck out looking in the first. 2 outs, nobody on, and Kynes in search of his second 1-2-3 inning. Just low and outside with a breaking ball. No runs on 3 hits for the Aces. No runs, 1 hit for the Bandits. Game 3 of this 4-game series. Brisbane
Tell you what, when he
won
misses,
the first 2.
Not missing by much.
He's not. Well, he's a strike thrower. He's done that at just about every juncture in his career. Career strikeouts per 9.3. So over a very large sample size, more than a strikeout per inning, and just 2.5 walks per 9. 2-2 the count. Here's the pitch. Just missed.
Again, close.
Rushford 0 for 7 with 4 strikeouts in this series. Never know what you'll hear at the ballpark. And a swing and a miss from Rushford. Down on strikes for the second time tonight. That is 5 strikeouts.
Yep.
For Kynes, who's faced just 1 over the minimum through 3 innings. So no rust whatsoever for the lefty from Conway, South Carolina, beg your pardon. We go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. No score from Melbourne Ballpark.
All-Star Access Hire are your access equipment specialists. We have an extensive range of state-of-the-art equipment and we pride ourselves on delivering outstanding customer service. We have the youngest fleet of equipment in Victoria and we are consistently adding new machines. We get to know our customers and form partnerships with them. This video is of our partnership with the Victorian Government at Reservoir Station. All-Star Access Hire are proud sponsors of the Melbourne Aces and our All-Star Bar.
Welcome back to Melbourne Ballpark. There is the party deck. I mentioned earlier, got some folks from, I believe it's Richmond Central Footy Club. Dane Roy, you can see there on the left in the black hat. Former punter at the University of Houston, one of the products of the Pro Kick Academy here in Melbourne, run by Nathan Chapman and John Smith. They send Australian kids over to the U.S. to punt in college football. Very, very successful.
Well, Daryl George leads off at the bottom of the 3rd. George, Glendenning, and Bird coming through. That's 2, 3, and 4 against Brian Fitzpatrick, who's tight-roped around some trouble in the first 2 innings. A couple of hits for Melbourne, but a couple of runners stranded in the first. And single a hit batter in the second. 2 left on base, so the Aces have left 4 through the first 2. Again, fitting that narrative that you and I talked about. The opportunities are there. You're just waiting for that big hit. You know it'll come. The averages always even out over time. So
indeed,
just a matter of that moment actually coming. It was Daryl George who provided that swing against Perth a couple of weeks ago, and felt like we were seeing the exact same thing. First, the 2 home runs for him in that Saturday night Game 3. It was Game 2 of a doubleheader, and the Aces behind a great start from Lewis Thorpe, and 3 home runs, won it by a final score of 6-1. Wouldn't mind the same outcome tonight. And here's a rocket for Darryl down the left field line. This gets to the base of the wall. Darryl already with 1 double. And he stops at second with his second double tonight.
Double-double.
So Daryl George with a one-out double in the first, a leadoff double in the third. And the Aces with another base hit against Fitzpatrick. Daryl George dialed in here tonight.
Campbell just kind of casually strolls over, picks that up. I guess he conceded that Daryl was already going to get the double.
Well, here's the first pitch to Glendening. Swing and a miss on the fastball from Fitzpatrick. Well, Fitzpatrick's done a good job through the first 2 innings of working around trouble, but you don't want to make a habit of that.
No.
And he's up against it again here in the third. Leadoff double. 1 strike to Glendening. And now make it 2. You know, Robbie with an on-base streak, 9 snapped yesterday, but single on a sharp line drive to Fritsch at third in that first inning. Tie with Greg Bird, his teammate, for the league lead in walks. He and Bird with 8 of those. So he's worked the count a lot this season. And he grounds this over to Fritsch. That'll keep George at second. And 1 out here in the bottom of the third inning.
Yeah, tough one when it's hit to the left side of the infield with a man on second. George really can't do anything with that. So 1 down, George remains at second, and here comes Greg Bird.
Strikeout for Greg his first time. RBI chance here once again in the third. And his first home run as a Melbourne Ace on Thursday night. He has reached safely in 8 consecutive games, hitting .360 over that span with a .515 on-base percentage. He had mentioned that he and Robbie Glendening entered play tonight, tied atop the ABL with 8 walks. One out with Daryl George at second base. No score in the bottom of the third. And this is ripped down the right field line. That's just foul. That close to giving Melbourne a lead. Only a couple of feet foul, but a loud strike off the bat of Greg Bird.
We'll get a look at this on the replay. Really sweet swing that he has, but just a little bit foul.
A view there for Casey Cook down the right field line. First base umpire here tonight, this 4-man crew. And this is hit in the air to shallow right. Skepton was back, makes the catch. Well, Skepton was playing pretty deep. And he was all the way at the warning track before he started to come back in. So Greg Bird just missed that off the end of his bat. There are 2 down here in the bottom of the third. That'll bring up Ryu Sugisawa.
Yeah, tough for Bird. That first one just foul by a foot or so, as you say, and then that one didn't quite get all of it. And not enough of it either to allow George to tag and score. Obviously, George not super fleet of foot, certainly not slow, but really couldn't push it there. It wasn't deep enough.
Well, here's Sugisawa. The Aces trying to cash in on the leadoff double. Sugisawa flied to center with a couple on in the first inning. 4 hits from Melbourne, but Fitzpatrick has worked around some trouble trying to do so again here in the third. Jesus. 2-0 the count. Sugisawa with hits in 3 consecutive games. Longest active hitting streak for a Melbourne hitter. Here's the 2-0. And a soft flare, shallow center. Rushford coming in on the gallop, makes the catch, and the inning is over. Leadoff double for Daryl George, but he's left in scoring position, and after 3, still no score from Melbourne Ballpark. We go to the 4th, and this is Aces TV.
One Love is there for the moments with the people you love the most. To share the highs and the lows together. It's It's the one for all people, all times, and all places. Brick Lane's One Love Pale Ale. It's the one for all.
Welcome back to Melbourne Ballpark, headed to the top of the fourth inning. Melbourne Aces nothing, Brisbane Bandits nothing. Aces 4 hits, but haven't been able to push a run across the plate. My name is Ed White, alongside Michael Dixon. Little head-to-head there, sort of UFC-looking confrontation between those two young baseball fans.
Either the next middle infield duo for the Aces, the next broadcast duo. Once you and I are long gone.
Could be right. Gunnar Kynes on the mound for the Aces. Into his 4th inning of work. He's only given up 1 hit. 5 strikeouts in his first start back with the Aces, where he won a title back in 2021. He'll face Fritsch, Pineda, and Hall here in the 4th. Fritsch grounded out to third his first time up. Takes a ball to start off the top of the 4th. That's a strike, 1-1. Talked about these veterans coming back and just looking sharp on the mound. Kynes certainly fits that bill as the second strike comes across on Fritsch. That one gets away from Gunnar, so 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Man, he's looked as sharp as you could have hoped. I know he pitched a little bit in Venezuela, but in a couple of weeks since he threw, and long flight over here.
Our boss, Justin Hubert, played a little bit of ball in Venezuela. You should talk to him about that sometime. He's had some great stories. I'll tell you what.
He honestly
probably
said,
not repeatable on air.
Well, he honestly said, man, it is repeatable. Going to play there simply made him better.
Oh, I'm sure it did, yeah.
Just the way that they play the game. Places like Venezuela and the Dominican Republic and whatnot. By the way, I don't know if our guys can get a shot of this, but something you might not see again. Well, I don't want to say that because you see a lot of crazy things in baseball, but Ed, why don't you go ahead and peek down the right field line? There must be too much water in the Brisbane bullpen because the bullpen for Brisbane and Melbourne is the same tonight down the right field line.
That one's hit down the right field line. Speaking of that, towards the All-Star bar, it's just going to hit the top of the netting there and go foul. Yeah, I do see that. You're right.
There you go. There's the look.
Very interesting. There it is. In the spirit of cooperation. Yeah, you're right. It must be the wet out there and down the left field line. So a shared bullpen. Look at that.
That was the pregame shot.
Yeah.
When's the last time you've seen double barrel with 2 different jerseys?
Fascinating.
A couple of lefties going through their pregame routines.
Fouled back. Adapt and improvise, right? Or improvise and adapt, however you want to say that. It's all part of being in the ABL. You got to deal with that sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot of water.
Look, we've had games shortened because teams have to catch flights. I mean, you just have to adjust to the way this league is set up, which is great. There's a slow grounder. As Fritsch continues to stay alive here.
Well, I think that's part of the reason, too, why, especially on a Saturday, you want to try and get this game in no matter what. The weather really did cooperate. They did a great job getting the field ready, but you really don't want to have to play 2 games on a Sunday in the ABL because of that reason.
Nope.
You know, these teams have to get back. At least the road teams have to get back. And it's not like the minor leagues in the U.S.
Finally gets Fritsch. 6th strikeout of the night for Kynes. 1 away.
It's not like anything below AAA where they do fly, but you do have that flight to catch.
Yeah, I remember days here where we've had to figure out, all right, if it goes to the 5th, then the game, this is how many innings if it gets to 3 o'clock. And you're sitting here doing the math, trying to figure out when the game actually is going to end. Hopefully we don't have to worry about that. Here is Jack Pineda, struck out looking his first time up. Flies that one into left field. Burke is back. A little bit of trouble with it, but makes an easy play at the end. 2 down.
Well, I think we just saw what you've talked about, kind of that swirling wind, and Burke initially went back to his left, had to twist and turn a little bit, but made the catch. And Gunnar Kynes is just locked in right now, and this is a fantastic sight to see. You talk all about his history and how much he's going to impact the starting rotation, but you don't really know until you see it, and he is in complete control. The only hit he's allowed was that 2-out double in the second. Just an outstanding start so far for Gunnar Kynes, and kind of love what you're seeing if you're John Diebel and Peter Moylan in that first base dugout.
Absolutely right. It's 1-1 here against Hall, who flew out his first time out.
He's in a rut right now, 2 or 3 for his last 23 with the fly out the first.
That's low. 2 balls and a strike. Top of 4, no score. Aces have had runners in scoring position. We've heard that a couple of times so far in the series. Left 2 men on in the first, 2 men on, 1 man on in the third. That's hit sharply into left center field. That's well hit. And that's going to be stopped. No, it's going to get to the fence, and Hall is going to stroll into second with a double that ends that streak. And you should have seen the look there from Hall. He just kind of did the old look upward. Thank you. I finally got a hit. Well, great shot from our sportscast cameras.
It's one thing to break a nasty little skid with a blooper. It's another to do exactly what Hall did with a rocket the other way. Only the second hit allowed by Gunnar Kynes, and both are 2-out doubles. Like the effort, too, from Burke out there in left center to try and dive, cut it off. But you can see the relief, literally.
There it
Finally.
is. What a shot. So 2 outs, runner on second, brings up Andrew Campbell. Grounded out his first time up. The veteran who started this series off with a grand slam on Thursday night. But after that, really has battled a bit. 5 strikeouts, in fact, after that grand slam. That's hit sharply to short. Glendening is there, and the inning ends. Hall gets a double, but that's it. No runs, 1 man left on base. We'll be back with the bottom of the 4th here on Aces TV after this.
Aussie gardeners are best served by Aussie tools, built specifically for our unique environment and conditions. Back in the 1890s, Leonard Chambers and William Thompson started a beekeeping supply business in Melbourne. Little would they know that their company would go on to change how Australians garden for well over a century. Cyclone is ingrained into our country's history and our way of life. Our tools are long-lasting and purpose-built for hard work.
We've been making quality tools for over a century.
They last that long, you can hand them down to the next generation.
Good, quality, honest product that the Australian people have grown to love.
It's not an Aussie shed without a Cyclone.
My biggest takeaway of being here for 34 years is just a sense of pride in the product.
Australians buy good products. So if they keep on buying, we keep on making, so we're here.
Cyclone tools, made for Australians.
Light and Easy have been named Best Healthy Meal Delivery Service again, but you won't find us stopping to celebrate. We're busy making it easy for Aussies to achieve their well-being goals, and the results speak for themselves. Light and Easy, just good food and great results.
Ballpark. Bottom of the 4th inning. Still scoreless here as Jared Dale steps in against Brian Fitzpatrick, who, as Michael Dixon alluded to earlier, has worked around a bit of trouble in the first and second innings, not so much in the third. Dale swings and goes down outside the box, but comes back in. Be ready to go. Working his way back into shape, as we mentioned, Jared. But singled in the second inning. Advanced all the way to third. On a wild pitch, but couldn't get across the plate as he fouls that one back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Dale, Burke, and Fukunaga here for the Aces in the bottom of the fourth. Scoreless game following sort of the pattern we've seen in the 2 previous games, but really sort of weather affected, obviously. Good pitching and cold weather. That one's in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, the Aces once again have had chances here tonight, and you just feel like that breakthrough is coming. It's a matter of positive aggression at this point with the law of averages. I know you know a lot about statistics and things that
I do.
Well, you know, assuming your history.
I do a little bit. Yeah. No, you're right.
You know about regression, regressing to the mean. They're going to regress at some point. Just a matter of when.
Swing and a miss, outside pitch. Dale goes down. That's a 3rd strikeout of the night for Fitzpatrick. And Chris Burke steps in now. 0-for-1 grounding into a fielder's choice in the second inning. Lefty against lefty here. That's a wicked breaking ball that in for strike 1. And a good crowd here tonight. Really ready to get behind the Aces. So you get a look at the brain trust there. John Deeble, Peter Moylan, Graham Lloyd. Lot of baseball experience there between those 3 gentlemen.
Yeah, they might be able to tell you a thing or two about the game, huh?
That's popped into right field. Back goes the second baseman, Riley. 2 down. Yeah, he could do worse than to sit in and listen to those 3 guys talk a bit of baseball. Graham Lloyd in particular, find fascinating. Really nice guy, really obviously seen it all with the Yankees, and he's been around a fair bit, coached Geelong, Korea. Just knows a lot. And there is Peter Moylan, who also obviously fun guy to talk to, Moyla. Just a great guy. That's fouled back from Fukunaga. Really fortunate, really, to have those guys around, really, as teachers.
I'm a big Moylan fan because he likes my lineup card that I put together and provide to each clubhouse. So anytime you compliment me, then I've got all the compliments in the world for you. Believe he's holding that same sheet.
Well, there you go. Swing and a miss, Fukunaga. 2 quick strikes. Bottom of 4, no score. As we said, similar pattern to the other games. There's Shane Watson on the left. The Brisbane Bandits manager took over for Dave Nielsen, who still remains involved with the Bandits baseball operations and also the Australian national team, but is going to Birmingham to take over a program there at a Christian university, or college, high school, if you will, in Birmingham. Dave is a very religious guy, really one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in baseball. One of the biggest guys you'll ever meet in baseball. He would take up this booth so
just
big.
A massive guy.
Luckily to work a couple of ABL final series with Dave years ago on ESPN and MLB Network. Unbelievable how he could see a game unfold as a catcher. He you could just see him immediately do that as Fukunaga.
Well, they came out immediately and got him.
Yeah, that's not good. See if we can get a replay on that. Now here we're going to. He's out. That's going to be a lineup change immediately. Here we go. Have a quick look at this.
Now remember, he got hit on the elbow earlier in the game.
And he swung there and immediately knew something was wrong. Obviously, we're not going to speculate, but he's immediately out.
Well, they knew something was up, too.
Correct.
It was very quick when Fukunaga took the walk around.
Yep.
John Diebel was out of the dugout, as you can see on the replay, and said, got to grab you. So Zion Bannister, for the second consecutive night, comes in off the bench. Or beg your pardon, it's actually Declan Spears
I was just going to say,
will come in for Fukunaga, and we'll see what the Aces do defensively. Spears can catch. You also have Burke, who could catch too. But it's a 1-2 count for Spears. It's a tough place for a hitter to step right in.
Against Brian Fitzpatrick.
Hitting's hard enough, but
yeah,
when you're behind in the count before you even stand in.
Again, we won't speculate, but you would think Burke potentially would go behind the plate. But we'll see. It's grounded up the middle. It's going to be grabbed by Riley. Does he beat it? No, he doesn't. So good stuff from Spears. Good effort, but can't get there. And the bottom of the fourth ends like the other innings. No runs for the Aces. Score remains Bandits nothing, Aces nothing. Back with a fifth on Aces TV after this.
All-Star Access Hire are your access equipment specialists. We have an extensive range of state-of-the-art equipment, and we pride ourselves on delivering outstanding customer service. We have the youngest fleet of equipment in Victoria, and we are consistently adding new machines. We get to know our customers and form partnerships with them. This video is of our partnership with the Victorian Government at Reservoir Station. All-Star Access Hire are proud sponsors of the Melbourne Aces and our All-Star Bar.
Welcome back to Aces TV. The fifth inning is brought to you by Crew Fitness and Performance with a more than vision. What drives the Crew team and its members is a dedication to community and an eagerness to be surrounded by a personal growth culture. Stop into their location in Braybrook or Hoppers Crossing to see for yourself. Crew Fitness and Performance, a proud sponsor of the Melbourne Aces.
Well, Ed, as folks watch on from the Cyclone Tool Shed, it is indeed Declan Spears who stays in the game as the catcher. So Fukunaga lifted. Don't want to speculate, but he was clearly in some discomfort after taking a swing on a ball he fouled back to the screen and took a stroll around home plate. John Diebel was immediately out of the dugout to assist him, and they walked with him back to the dugout. Declan Spears then stepped in, inheriting a 1-2 count, and stays in the game to catch the left-handed Gunnar Kynes, who's out to a fantastic start here tonight.
That's
Only
a
2
tough
hits
spot.
allowed.
Sorry
It
to
is
interrupt you.
tough,
That's
yeah.
a tough spot to put Declan Spears in. I think he's up for the challenge, no doubt about it. Good young kid signed by the Phillies in September and obviously on the roster for the Under-18 Baseball World Cup. Did play a game for the Aces last year, so he's got a little bit, tiny bit of ABL experience, but obviously a kid who's going to go places. So good opportunity for him here as we start the top of the fifth inning. Skepton, Nilsson, and Battaglia for the Brisbane Bandits. Skepton, of course, with that double back in the second. First pitch strike from Kynes. 6 strikeouts for Gunnar. Only given up 2 hits and has looked very, very sharp on the mound through 4 innings. That one's popped back right over the top. Above us here in the booth.
Well, it's pretty much all about the next man up mentality now with essentially no other option, right? I mean, it's a really tough break, losing Mitchell last week. And now Fukunaga gone for the game tonight. Hopefully it's nothing serious, but at least for the rest of tonight, you don't have your starting catcher. And you're down to Declan Spears, who, again, has experience, but you're already thin with availability at that position, and you lose Fukunaga. It's tough.
That's blooped down the right field line. I think it's going to be out of play, barely. Sugisawa gave chase. It stayed in the field, but there's no chance he's going to be able to get to that. So Skepton will shuffle back to the plate, and we'll do it again with 1 ball and 2 strikes here in the 5th inning.
It's also maybe the worst position to have to deal with injury issues at, because
of course
it can be difficult to find guys just plug and play.
Yep.
So Tucker Mitchell with the hamstring injury last week. Fukunaga hurt here tonight. Big moment here for Declan Spears.
Swing and a miss. That's the 7th strikeout for Kynes.
Well, that matches his aces career high. And he's the first Melbourne starter with 7 strikeouts in the game this year. So Gunnar Kynes in his first start looks exactly like Gunnar Kynes. The same guy we saw in this league last year, the ABL ERA champion with Perth.
It's like that meme from The Office. They want to show you the same picture. It's the same picture. This is Mitch Nielsen, the designated hitter. Looked at a called 3rd strike in the 2nd inning. We mentioned Nielsen's struggles at the plate, but he did score a couple of runs in yesterday's game. Veteran Brisbane Bandit, like so many of the guys on this roster, Battaglia, Campbell. That's popped up, playable. In comes Khalil, easy out, 2 down.
You got a guy who dominates righties against a guy without a hit off a lefty this year, so you give Kynes the nod on paper, and
very good call.
Pretty comfortably puts Nielsen away.
And here is Battaglia, the catcher, giving Hyung-Chan the night off. Struck out his first time up. If you missed it earlier, one of the real young talents on this Brisbane team, only 19, drafted out of high school in Korea. Spoke with him pregame. Really lovely guy. Really loves playing in Australia.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're on a roll like the Bandits are. Nice pitch from Kynes to level the count at 1-1. It's hit sharply down the 3rd baseline. Foul. So 1-2. Only negative about Hyung-Chan is he said he was a Tottenham Hotspur fan.
Yeah.
So for me as an Arsenal fan, I know you as an Arsenal fan, that's kind of a little bit of a negative. But we won't let that cloud our judgment against
I would go so far
player.
as to say unforgivable. Don't mince words here, man.
1-2 is the count on Battaglia. Kynes delivers, little bit inside, 2-2.
It makes sense, though, that he'd be, as a South Korean, a huge Tottenham fan with his
Sonny.
Yeah,
Son
I mean,
Hyung
he is
Kim.
the guy.
And, of course, Melbourne's own Ange Postecoglou is the manager of Tottenham. A swing and a miss. Great work again from Kynes. 2 strikeouts. 1-2-3 inning. Score remains Bandits nothing, Aces nothing. We will head to the bottom of the 5th after this.
When enjoying a punt, easy does it with Punt 123. Punt123.bet is your home for all your punting needs with same race multis and same game multi options, including daily promotions on all the major sporting and racing events. It's punting made easy. Get in the game with Punt 123. Visit punt123.bet or download the app today. Gamble responsibly. If gambling becomes an issue for you, call 1-800-858-858.
Welcome back to Melbourne Ballpark. Now, remember, for the first time since 2017, Team Australia is playing here in Melbourne. Don't miss your chance to catch the country's biggest stars in a 2-game exhibition series against the Hanwha Eagles from the Korean KBO right here at Melbourne Ballpark. For more information, visit melbourneaces.com.au, and that is going to be highly entertaining. Hanwha Eagles coming here for their spring training. We're going to play those games against Team Australia. That is going to be a lot of fun. Ed White, Michael Dixon with you here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Aces going up against a new pitcher. It's a punt 1-2-3 pitching change.
And it's the righty Wesley Scott, 8th round pick of Kansas City out of Walters State CC, same school that produced Brett Honeywell Jr. Rough start for him to his ABL tenure, but, of course, young arm. Pitched with the ACL Royals last year and this past season at Single A Columbia. So, by the way, this little girl right here, I don't know how little she is. I don't want to offend anybody by saying that, but she is a prodigy. And we had the pleasure of watching her do all the crazy, body-bending stuff. And I don't know how in the world anyone can get themselves to be that athletic, but she has a bright future in gymnastics if she sticks to it. And I just felt like it was necessary to point that out because
it's good.
Got to give credit where credit's due.
Absolutely right. So Wesley Scott, the 22-year-old from the University of Arizona Wildcat, will come in and pitch the bottom of the 5th against George Khalil, Aaron Whitefield, and Darryl George. And that is not an easy assignment for a pitcher coming in and out of the bullpen.
I like that they've kept Khalil in the 9th spot when normally a guy hitting like he is would probably move up the order. But if he's comfortable there, then let him keep doing his thing. And, we hear so much about that second leadoff spot, if you will, the guy hitting 9th. George Khalil has been one of the best hitters in the early season and had a double last night.
First pitch, a swing and a miss. Second pitch, he went around on, so he is in a quick 0-2 hole against Wesley Scott.
Had his first ABL multi-home run game last week against Canberra, double in last night's game. A lot of extra base hits that he's racked up over the last 2 weekends.
That one's outside from Scott. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Still no score. Aces have 4 hits. Bandits have 2 hits. Aces have gotten a man as far as 3rd, but haven't been able to get anybody home. That's grounded foul down the 3rd base line. Khalil stays alive.
4 outings for the young righty Wesley Scott, and 6.75 ERA, 0-1 record, 5 1/3, 5 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned. Big problem for him, 7 walks in just 5 1/3. So the command has been a significant problem for him, but jumps ahead of Khalil beginning the bottom of the 5th.
Look down the 3rd, he's punched out. Went around.
Well, Khalil's saying, hey, at least appeal, because home plate umpire Yuta Suyama took matters into his own hands on that check swing. And we get a second look at it. And I can see where he's at least asking for the appeal down to the first base umpire, but Yuta Suyama punches him out himself, and that's the 4th strikeout for Brisbane pitching here tonight.
Going to lose that argument as Aaron Whitefield steps in. He's 2 flyouts tonight, center field and left field.
The walks, too, for Scott, should mention, have been really high for him in his pro career to start. So clearly he's got the stuff. The Royals believe in him, but he's got to figure out how to pitch, work his way through professional lineups.
Whitefield fouled that one off. I think his foot maybe. Has to walk it off a little bit, taking a little bit longer than normal, actually, than a player normally does, so that must have stung him a bit. He'll jump back in the box now with a count 1-1. No score. Bottom of 5. Game 3 of the series. Bandits have won the first 2. Here's Scott to Whitefield. Breaking ball, strike 2. Whitefield didn't like that, but again, doesn't matter because it's going on the board, 1-2.
And you can see why the Royals like this young righty, too, with the movement on that pitch.
Agreed. Got him. Another good pitch. 2 quick strikeouts for Wesley Scott. And that'll bring up Daryl George. You hear the crowd chanting, Daryl, Daryl. Not the first time that chant's been heard here at Melbourne Ballpark.
It won't be the last.
No, it won't be the last.
Couple of JUCO stops, by the way, for Scott as well. He actually went to Sanjat, they call it, San Jacinto College in Houston, which has been a pipeline for so many big-time names. How about Roger Clemens, Mike Gonzalez, Andy Pettit, just to name a few. And he went to Arizona, then Walter State.
Big swing and a miss. And any Australian listening, a junior college or a community college, a 2-year school normally, and then you go there and move on to a 4-year university. It's a good training ground, as you mentioned, for guys that maybe aren't ready for college or need to get a little more prepared in terms of the books. That misses outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Also a good place for guys to go, because if you go to a 4-year school to play collegiately, you have to play 3 years before you're draft eligible, whereas you only have to play the 1 year of JUCO to become draft eligible again.
That's foul. Yeah, good point.
So that's why you'll see really, really good players who don't quite have the leverage they're looking for the money they're looking for when they're originally drafted out of high school. And they don't want to commit to a 3-year collegiate career before they can go back into the Major League draft. And so they'll end up going to JUCO.
George just stays alive. That probably hit as far in the end of the bat as you could potentially hit a baseball. So 2 balls and 2 strikes after all that. The Aces dugout. Two pitch is inside, so George has walked the count full, 3-2. He's already been on twice, 2 doubles.
There's a really nice split appearance here from Darryl to get the count full.
Great.
We have not seen a walk on either side in this game.
Time called. A very vociferous crowd tonight here at the ballpark. There's a pitch low, and there is the first walk. I don't want to say cursed because it's Daryl George walking, but there we go.
Well, Daryl's now reached all 3 times. A couple of doubles and now a walk. And 10-2 when you talk about command issues that a guy like Scott has had, I think pretty wild, but it really wasn't much wild about that plate appearance. Just a good at-bat worked by Daryl George. Took some close pitches and kept the inning alive. Let's see if Robbie Glendening can turn it into something here in the 5th.
First pitch is over for a strike. So 0-1 to Glendening. George on first, 2 outs. Breaking ball, strike 2. So quick hole there for Glendening. Good crowd there at the party deck having a good time.
They look like they've had a few. Good for them, though, right?
Responsible drinking.
It's a Saturday night in Melbourne.
Absolutely. And they came on a bus that fouled away. No balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, they brought a big bus. I think 20, 21 guys came here, so did the responsible thing, right? Let someone else drive.
Got a beer bat there.
Yeah, nice, good group of guys. Actually, I was talking to him. I think it's the Richmond Central Football Club. Oh, that's a great pitch. Froze him and gets out of the inning with a 3rd strikeout of the inning. Just like that, and we will head to the top of the 6th. Score, Bandits nothing, Aces nothing. Back again on Aces TV.
One Love is there for the moments with the people you love the most. To share the highs and the lows together. It's the one for all people, all times, and all places. Brick Lane's One Love Pale Ale. It's the one for all.
Welcome back to Melbourne Ballpark. Still scoreless here between the Aces and the Brisbane Bandits as we head to the top of the 6th inning. Sweet Caroline echoing through the park. And you see some dancing Aces dancers, kids, fans going nuts. As Gunnar Kynes will continue on the mound. He's given up just 2 hits. He struck out 7. And in case you are just coming in, Sho Fukunaga, the catcher, had to leave with some sort of an injury, possibly to upper body, shoulder, arm, we're not sure. Declan Spears has taken over behind the plate. And we will have, for Brisbane, Will Riley. Leading off, he shows bunt. Doesn't get there. It's a strike. Riley, Rushford, and Fritsch here in the 6th inning for the Brisbane Bandits.
Sweet Caroline is a big hit here at Melbourne Ballpark, isn't it?
Huge. It's big in Australia. Sydney Swans use it in the AFL.
Do they?
Yeah. I can just imagine Neil Diamond just sitting back and seeing these royalties coming in from all over because it's in so many ballparks now, right?
Yeah, I think the big one is Fenway, right? That's where
that's sort of where
it
caught on. It's fouled out of play. Count remains 0-2 on Riley.
We played in Lincoln at the request of our owner. That was just one request. You got to play Sweet Caroline every night.
It's fouled down the left field line. Sails over the Cyclone tool shed down there.
You know, with a lower register, that used to be my go-to karaoke song.
Is that right?
Yeah. It has since become.
To hear that this summer?
Well, maybe. Probably not.
0-2 pitch again to Riley. Just a little low. Appeal, no. Didn't go around. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Maybe getting on the mic here, singing it. What do you think?
Give me a couple of beer bats and a night off, and maybe.
Just missed outside, 2-2. Good eye from the youngster Will Riley. Flew out his first time up in the 3rd inning.
Well, the Kennedy up and warming, not a situational thing because you got a couple of lefties. And Kennedy following Kynes, so it's not like you're looking for Kennedy to face someone in particular, and that would lead you to believe that they want Kynes to get through this 6th inning. The good news for Gunnar and the Aces, typically in a first start, you might see the throttle down a little bit, but He threw 5 different times in Venezuela not long ago. So it's not like getting stretched out is a huge concern. I mean, I'm sure there's a small part of that in the back of John Diebel's mind, but pretty much has as long a leash as he'd like. And if he can get through, in fact, if he just retires one batter in this 6th inning, it'll be his longest start as a Melbourne Ace.
So full count pitch that's popped up. Riley really fighting this off. That's at least 3 or 4. 3 or 4 foul balls. Do it again, full count, 3-2. That's hit in the air. Back goes Glendenning. In comes Whitefield. Whitefield makes the play. 1 away. Long at bat results in an out.
John Diebel on the proverbial top step of the dugout, even though there's no steps. And yeah, he's going to keep.
Well, you wouldn't take him out here with Rushford.
Of course.
Struck out twice and really struggling at the plate. And that's a beautiful pitch to start things off. 0-1.
I think you can assume that this will be Kynes' final inning with Kennedy up. But again, I think they want to get him through 6.
Just missed. 1-1. Yeah, look, if he gets through 6 unscathed, that's a heck of a performance.
Yeah, it's already an outstanding outing for him.
Yeah, it is. Agreed. Strike 2.
So once school resumes in Lincoln, it'll be a random Wednesday night once all the students are back. And we won't have a ton of folks there, but maybe a frat will be there enjoying a brotherhood event or something. And it's exactly like that where they're making all the noise. But it really does seem to amp everything up, even though it might not be the biggest crowd in Aces history. It's
adds to the
they're still having a ton of fun.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Milo Rushford, the center fielder. That's hit down the left field line. That could be tricky for Burke. He's over. He's over near the wall. Can't make the play in the corner. Had a feeling that might be a tricky one to play with the wind and the field conditions.
Yeah.
You can see that water. You can see the track there from the cart and the water in the corner there. So it's a long foul. As that carried a bit, I was hoping it wasn't going to stay fair because you've got that sort of low fence.
It can disappear quickly,
there.
of course.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, too, with that water. I know it's not necessarily something that Burke, or it isn't something Burke really has to deal with, and it has to creep into your mind just a little bit because you know of all the places that didn't fully drain after all the water overnight into the morning. There's still quite a bit of standing water down that left field line.
There's the 2-2 pitch. This is going to be a tough play for Kynes, and he can't make it, and that's going to be a hit for Milo Rushford. How about that?
Well, however you can get him when you're in a rut like he is, 1 for 19 before that. And he pokes it to the third base side. Kynes coming off the mound had the urgency. He wanted to play it, but I think he realized there was no chance he was going to make the play. And the only prayer the Aces had was Jared Dale, but it became very evident that Dale had no chance either. Obviously, Rushford, center fielder, moves well too. So Rushford beats it out with an infield single, and only the 3rd base runner for the Bandits against the lefty Kynes here tonight.
Brings up Dermot Fritch, 0 for 2 tonight. Of course, the double play is in play here.
Fritch doesn't move all that well. We've seen that in this series.
Misses outside, 1-1.
Got average speed. He was victim of that phenomenal play from Jared Dale in foul territory. In the 1st inning. A play that I think a guy with above average speed probably beats out. Hair probably holds him back a little bit, right? I mean, there's got to be some physics to that.
Yeah, aero.
I know we bring it up every night, but you can't not. It's our job to report the facts.
Kynes keeping Rushford close over at first. 1-1 count on Dermot Fritsch. Oof. Crowd wanted that one.
Man, it looked like Yudasuyama wanted to call it too. There was just a slight flinch, and then he ended up, in fact, I thought he was about to point over for strike two, and he kept himself from doing so. It's a big call, a big difference.
Sure is. 2-1 in the count. A swing and a foul off mask of Spears. 2-2, 1 out. We are in the top of the 6th inning, and there you go. You see the score, Brisbane 0, Melbourne 0. Another low-scoring game between these two teams in what's been a cold, weather-affected weekend in Melbourne. Here's the 2-2 pitch now. Kynes delivers. Fouled away. I will say the Brisbane hitters and Melbourne hitters to a lesser extent have done really well extending at-bats by fouling away pitches.
Yeah, and specifically Fritsch did that in the 4th inning, right? He was a very tough customer before Kynes finally struck him out.
We'll do it again. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Runner goes, and it's fouled away. So we will do it again. Shot of the Aces. John Diebel, Peter Moylan again looking on. As Michael mentioned, hoping that we get Kynes here through the 6th inning. Here we go again. 2-2 pitch. Runner stays, hit sharply in the left field for a base hit. Ace is fortunate the runner did not go that time, potentially, although tough to say if it's hit the left field. But 2 consecutive hits, and there are 2 men on with just 1 out.
Well, I'll be the first to say that when this series comes to an end, I will help Dermot Fritsch carry his bags to the bus, because the Aces can't get rid of this guy soon enough. Very tough strikeout in the 4th inning after he made Kynes work. Does the same thing this time, gets the better of him, and Kynes can't get through the 6th inning, but he was outstanding. And it's a pitching change for Melbourne. Gunnar Kynes, phenomenal in his first start back with the Aces, the league ERA champion a season ago. And from one lefty to another, John Kennedy comes in, and we'll tell you more about JK on the other side.
It's a punt 1-2-3 pitching change. We'll be back after this.
When enjoying a punt, easy does it with Punt 123. Punt123.bet is your home for all your punting needs with same race multis and same game multi options, including daily promotions on all the major sporting and racing events. It's punting made easy. Get in the game with Punt 123. Visit punt123.bet or download the app today.
Gamble responsibly. If gambling becomes an issue for you, call 1-800-858-858.
Light and Easy have been named Best Healthy Meal Delivery Service again, but you won't find us stopping to celebrate. We're busy making it easy for Aussies to achieve their well-being goals, and the results speak for themselves. Light and Easy, just good food and great results.
Welcome back to Melbourne Ballpark. That is John Kennedy, the big lefty, coming on in relief of Gunnar Kynes, who is nothing short of spectacular. We have a punt 1-2-3 pitching change. So we go from one left-hander with a K starting his last name to another left-hander with a K starting his last name. Kynes to Kennedy.
Yeah, Kynes 5 1/3, 4 hits, responsible for both runners on base, but no walks, 8 strikeouts. It looked after the Riley put out here in the 6th inning that he was going to get through 6. But 5 1/3 is his longest start as a Melbourne Ace, the ERA champion in this league season ago. And this is the second time we're seeing John Kennedy in relief in this series. He came on for Scott Harkin. Surprisingly, I think it caught everybody by surprise to see J.K. in the third inning after the Shark in 2 2/3 had struck out 6 on Thursday. But the Aces with now a lot of firepower, adding Kynes, still having Kennedy, who is used primarily in long relief, saw him make a couple of spot starts in the first 2 weeks. That's part of the reason why they went to it. They want to make sure they can still use Kennedy in an optimal way. So we saw Kennedy in Game 1 of this series. We're seeing him again here in Game 3. Feels like a big moment in this game. And Kynes speaks with Moylan. Of course, there's probably not a whole lot to talk about other than job well done.
Exactly. Nice work, man.
But one thing I want to point out that I thought was interesting before we got back from break, you just saw John Diebel, the top step of the dugout, if you will. The dugout's flat, but top step of the dugout. He was actually out there talking with Spears and Kennedy. You almost never see a manager linger after a starting pitcher gets to the mound. But with no Sho Fukunaga, you have a guy and a kid, really, in Spears, still kind of learning the ropes, and the Aces are doing what they can to try and get through this. Very thin at catcher right now with some injury issues. So you had that veteran presence in John Diebel out there. You almost never see that, though. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Jack Pineda, the shortstop, is up now, 0 for 2 tonight. Strikeout and a flyout. First pitch from Kennedy is a ball. So Pineda, then Tate and Hall potentially. That's in for a strike. Good pitch. 1-1. So looking for that ground ball here, potentially double play ball.
That would be huge.
Long wait there from Kennedy.
Yep. Felt like time was coming eventually.
Pineda says, So 1 ball and 1 strike. We're in the top of the 6th inning. 1 out. A swing and a miss. Good pitch from Kennedy. 1 ball, 2 strikes. No score. 4 hits each team. No runs each team. No errors each team.
And if things go according to plan, I'm sure they're hoping to use Kennedy in the 7th inning as well, but cross that bridge when we get there.
Pineda stays alive with a foul. Yeah, you would hope. You're right. Can't project, but that's what you'd want him to get through 6 and 7. Swing and a miss, got him. Pineda goes down. Second strikeout for him tonight. First one for John Kennedy.
Well, there's your franchise all-time strikeout holder right there with John Kennedy. And in a big moment,
huge.
Picks up a huge strikeout. Pineda with hits in each of his first 5 games as a Bandit, but 0 for 3 here tonight with a couple of Ks. And see if Kennedy can put Hall away and get around this jam in the 6th.
Seen Kennedy work his way out of so many tight situations here at the Aces over the years.
Yeah, and this is really an interesting spot, too. I believe this is the first time this season that a Melbourne reliever has inherited multiple runners on base.
That's grounded towards left. Khalil can't make the play, boots it, and a run's going to come in. Oh, disappointing outcome there. Seemed as if Khalil could make that play, and then we'll look at the replay, Michael, but it looked as if it he kicked it almost.
Yeah, it's
bounced
just unlucky.
An unlucky bounce.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
He's moving to his left to try and keep that ball on the infield. Worst case scenario. And as he moves to his left, that also might have hit the lip of the grass and then popped up to hit the heel of his glove and just kind of fouls up the footwork altogether. Yeah. So
bad break.
There's an error on that play and a run comes in. And that's a really tough way for the Aces to fall behind in a game they've had chances to score but haven't been able to cash in. And Brisbane, with a chance here in the 6th inning, is taking a 1-0 lead.
That gets away from Spears, and the runners are going to advance.
You know, we were walking around the field a few days ago, and I took note at the lip of the grass, and it's actually quite a bit it comes out. The grass comes out above the turf quite a bit more than you would think just on first glance from where we are.
Yep.
And I actually told one of the guys who works here, I thought that might play a factor at some point during the season because it's an unusual composition to have to deal with, lack of a better term, with that turf going into the grass field. There's really nothing you can do about it. It's flat turf and puffy grass.
Campbell with 2 strikes here. Kennedy trying to get rid of the Bandits veteran here with runners on second and third, 2 outs. And Bandits have taken a 1-0 lead here in the top of 6.
But I really do wonder if that fouled up Khalil enough for that play to unfold.
And that one gets away from Spears. A wild pitch is going to let Fritsch come in and score the second run of the night.
Yeah, tough break. Good read from Fritsch, too, at third. He actually broke home before that had gotten past Spears. And Spears, again, not a ton of experience behind the plate in this kind of setting. Just something the Aces are having to deal with right now. But wild pitch all the way. Spears couldn't get over to his left to block it. A great read from Fritsch, and 2 runs in for Brisbane here in the 6th inning.
Struck him out, but not before Brisbane get 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 error, and 1 man left on base. We will head to the bottom of 6 here on Aces TV. Brisbane 2, Melbourne nothing.
Light and Easy have been named Best Healthy Meal Delivery Service again, but you won't find us stopping to celebrate. We're busy making it easy for Aussies to achieve their well-being goals, and the results speak for themselves. Light and Easy, just good food and great results.
Welcome back to Melbourne Ballpark. Fans still having a good time despite the Aces trailing on the scoreboard 2-0. Ed Wyatt, Michael Dixon with you, bottom of the 6th inning. Aces bring Greg Bird, Ryu Sugasawa, and Jared Dale to the plate against Wesley Scott. Been pretty good. 1 inning, 3 strikeouts, and 1 walk. So Brisbane continuing to do what they've done in this series. That's find a way to get a few runs across, and they've done it here again in a very tight game. They lead it 2-0 as Greg Bird, the designated hitter, steps in. He's 0 for 2 tonight, strikeout and a flyout. Good pitch, right down the middle. Strike 1. Outside, ball 1, 1-1.
So I can't switch to
That's low and inside. Gets away from Battaglia. 1 ball, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Remember,
Greg Bird.
In that Game 3 against Perth, when Melbourne turned things around a big way, it was the 6th inning that completely changed the complexion of that game. So see if the Aces can find that same sixth-inning magic here in Game 3 of this series against Brisbane. And a hitter's count 3-1 to Greg Bird beginning the bottom of the sixth.
He's overdue for a walk tonight. League leader in walks.
Mm-hmm.
There's some action in the bullpen.
It'd be Yumito Mai who is starting to get up and go. And
there you go, a little gymnast, little exercise. What do you call that? Calisthenics?
Calisthenics, yeah.
Three-two pitch here to Bird. Swing and a miss. Got him. Fourth strikeout for Wesley Scott.
Yeah, you could tell. I mean, there's always something, even when the numbers haven't been great, feels like there's always something with these guys like Scott who were picked pretty high up there, an 8th-round pick. And you could see that slider, sweeper, whatever he calls it. It's been really tough for Melbourne to pick up here tonight. And he's faced 5 batters, walked 1, struck out 4.
Exactly. I was just looking at that in the scorecard.
He's taken pretty much everything into his own hands. It's the whole 3 true outcomes notion.
Sugisawa now. 2 flyouts, both to center field. Good pitch. 1-1. Bottom of 6. Bandits 2. There we go. Look at that. Not even sure what to say about that. That pitch misses outside.
That guy looks like he's first class on a flight from Sydney to Seoul. Flight attendants are going to come through and ask for his meal, and I'm just going to pass that seat.
Just put some fireworks on. That'll wake him up.
There you go.
Count is now 3-1.
How long until some of his buddies start trying to...
That's what I was wondering, yeah.
See how many fries or chips they can stick into his mouth before he wakes up.
It does speak for the comfort of those chairs, I will say.
Oh, yeah, and the blankets provided, too, on a chilly night.
And misses outside, so a little wild there. And there's, I think, a little motion there from Scott. I'm not sure what he was motioning about. Maybe wanted a different baseball or something. As Sugisawa heads down to first, second walk of the night.
And Brisbane starting to mobilize the bullpen as well. Right-hander getting up. Again, that doesn't really tell you much because they don't have a lefty. So
Scott, as you say, 4 strikeouts and 2 walks.
Yep.
It's remarkable. Here's Jared Dale. Single and struck out. Runner on first, 1 out. Sugisawa does have some good speed.
That guy's right behind home plate, too. Pretty good advertising for punt 1, 2, 3. Can't keep your eye off the
oh, dear.
Chap behind the plate who maybe it's been a long day for him, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Runner goes. Sugisawa got a decent jump, and he's in.
Well, still a base there for Sugisawa. Close play, but I think he was pretty clearly in there.
You like my confidence? He's in. The way the umpire waited, I thought.
For a second, I was like, oh, here we go, yeah. Oh, he's up. He's up.
Hey, there we go.
Welcome back to planet Earth, my friend.
Didn't look too happy about it, I'll be honest. 2 balls and no strikes on Jared Dale. Looks at the ball inside. Good eye, Dale. Works the count to 3-0.
And full disclosure, obviously we're just chatting on what we see through the screen, but that is not an advertisement of Melbourne Aces baseball, of course. that guy is a one-off right there.
3-1 is the count on Dale. Runner on second, 1 out. Sugisawa fakes going, and it's another walk.
Yeah, now we're starting to see a little bit of that errancy.
Yeah, that you talked about earlier. You're right.
Even the 5th inning walk, it felt like Scott was around the zone, but he's gotten a little wild here in this 6th inning. Back-to-back walks, and chance here for Chris Burke perhaps to deliver with 2-on-1 out. The Aces are looking for that big hit. They just haven't really had that in this series. That's the difference, I think. Brisbane's had the big swing, and Melbourne hasn't quite had it. And happens in the context of a 4-game series. It's such a difficult sport, night in, night out. But there were a lot of ebbs and flows with the lineup, the pitching staff, some tough luck. And you would think eventually the floodgates are going to open with Melbourne, especially with runners in scoring position. I know the hits aren't there, but the contact for the most part has been. A lot of balls in play.
I agree. Yeah.
With runners in scoring position. You're just not finding the holes, and hopefully that changes soon. Got a really good chance here as Brisbane mobilizes the right-hander. I believe that is Sam Holland, number 40. But Holland getting ready. He's not quite ready to come in, so still some work here for Scott to do. You would imagine he'll at the very least have to face Burke. And perhaps 2 Spears, depending on how quickly Holland can get warm. But 2-on-1 out. Great chance here for Burke.
Misses outside. Ball 1.
And right now, I think with the way that Scott's working, bat over the shoulder isn't a bad way to go until...
Yeah. Make him throw strikes, as they say.
And the pitch count getting up there for him.
Oh, now they've got Sugisawa in a rundown. And one of those Aces players is going to be out. And it looks like it's...
Yep, Jared Dale's out.
Jared Dale.
Brisbane's trying to get a second out of that, but base running mishap, and all of a sudden, Scott has a chance now to get through it. Just took off too early.
He did. That's a good alert play by Scott. It's a very good play by Wesley Scott. So that's going to make 2 outs now. Sugisawa remains on second, but Dale is out. That's hit sharply in the center field, and it's over the head of Rushford. He misplayed it, and that's going to score 1. Burke heading into third, safe with a triple. Ace is on the board. It's 2-1. Rushford completely misplayed that. Came in, looked like he was going to make the catch from here, and then it flew over his head.
Well, it was hit hard. It was hit really hard. And pretty much right at where Rushford was standing. And we actually talked to Shane Watson, who's out of that third base dugout, about the youth and how young the team is with some of these imports. And that's a good example. You just have to let them make the mistakes, learn from them. That's a huge mistake from Rushford. Again, give Burke credit for hitting the ball hard. And he just, you said it, misplayed it. I mean, he came in, first couple of steps, and it was over his head. We've seen the ball die to center and left center in this series, but not so much tonight. And Burke, the beneficiary, as the batter with a triple. And that's the final involvement for Scott. Tough break for him. He probably should have been out of the inning, but the Aces absolutely take that. And Melbourne with some life. Tying run 90 feet away, and a new pitcher in for Brisbane.
Time for a punt 1-2-3 pitching change. We'll take a quick break and be right back after this.
When enjoying a punt, easy does it with Punt 123. Punt123.bet is your home for all your punting needs with same race multis and same game multi options, including daily promotions on all the major sporting and racing events. It's punting made easy. Get in the game with Punt 123. Visit punt123.bet or download the app today.
Gamble responsibly. If gambling becomes an issue for you, call 1-800-858-858.
Light and Easy have been named Best Healthy Meal Delivery Service again, but you won't find us stopping to celebrate. We're busy making it easy for Aussies to achieve their well-being goals, and the results speak for themselves. Light and Easy, just good food and great results.
Welcome back. That is Sam Holland, and this is a punt 1-2-3 pitching change as you look at the Aces veteran 29-year-old takes over for Wesley Scott. And before we get into Holland, I will say Bandits probably fortunate that they had that rundown and Dale got out, or otherwise it'd be 2-2. It's still 2-1.
Yeah, again, give Burke credit for the hard contact with 2 outs. That's all you're looking for, really. And you're just hoping to put the ball in play, have a chance to score the run after Jared Dale caught stealing in that weird play where both Sugisawa and Dale were standing on second base. And, Rushford misplayed it in center field. Could be 2-2. It's 2-1. You still have that tying run 90 feet away. You're still looking to really break things open. But you're also facing one of the all-time great relievers in this league, Sam Holland. You mentioned 29 years of age from Brisbane.
He's a big dude, too. Seen him walking around in the dugout. He's a big man.
He just looks like a reliever, too. Kind of got the baggier gray pants with that beard.
Scruffy beard, yeah, exactly.
A guy that's kind of, maybe found himself over the years with all the time he spent alone in the bullpen.
Declan Spears is the batter. The youngster came in, replaced Sho Fukunaga in the 4th innings, grounded out.
Interesting guy, too. He's a shutdown reliever, 16-3 with a 3.31 ERA in his Bandits career. That's 112 total outings. Only 127 strikeouts in 166 innings, so not a high strikeout guy yet, a shutdown reliever.
Got a strike there on Spears. There are 2 outs. There's a man on third. Aces have got 1 run across, so they trail 2-1 here in the bottom of the 6th inning, trying to add another one, tie this thing up.
Holland had a good year last year, 5-1, a 2.14 ERA.
There's a grounder to short. Pineda scoops, fires high, gets away from Taden Hall. And the Aces have tied the game. Declan Spears, grounder, Pineda drags Taden Hall off the bag, and we got a tie ball game.
Well, it's a tough play for Pineda coming in, but after he fields it, that throw on the money ends the inning. Spears has just enough speed to force Pineda to rush it just a little bit. And it does go down as an error by the shortstop. So a run scores. That is not an RBI for Declan Spears, but I don't think he'll care. The Aces for sure won't care. 2-2 in the bottom of the 6th inning. And here is now George Khalil with the go-ahead run in scoring position.
Bottom of the order delivering for the Aces. Burke, Spears. Now Khalil with an opportunity to maybe give the Aces the lead. Low, ball 2, 2-0. So this is what we talked about. The Aces getting some runs around. Did it a little bit unconventionally, but nobody's complaining. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Good pitch, outside corner, strike 1.
Kind of goes back to what you and I were talking about with runners on base. The Aces were putting the ball in play. Of course, eventually you're going to get a couple of breaks to go your way.
Yeah.
Hadn't found a way to get a ball through the infield or until the mishap from Rushford over into the outfield.
It's another good pitch. The same sort of placement. So 2-2.
The Aces have done a really good job, at least working counts and putting the ball in play. That's all you can ask for. Finally, they get a break with Rushford out there in center field, and then Spears ground ball to short. Tough play for Pineda. And the miscue on the throw to first ties the game.
Swing and a miss. But the Aces get 2 runs, tie it up. The big hit, the Chris Burke triple. And we'll head to the top of the 7th. All tied up at 2. Michael Dixon will be your man coming back on Aces TV.
When enjoying a punt, easy does it with Punt 123. Punt123.bet is your home for all your punting needs with same race multis and same game multi options, including daily promotions on all the major sporting and racing events. It's punting made easy. Get in the game with Punt 123. Visit punt123.bet or download the app today.
Gamble responsibly. If gambling becomes an issue for you, call 1-800-858-858.
Well, the Aces with a couple of runs to answer Brisbane's 2 in the 6th inning, and we go to the 7th, tied up at 2. It's a punt 1-2-3 pitching change for Melbourne. And the right-hander, Yuito Mai, is on for the Aces. John Debo went to John Kennedy with a couple of runners on and one out in that 6th inning. And both runs came in to score, but unfortunately because of an error, a tough play for George Khalil on the edge of the outfield grass at second. Ball just kind of kicked away from him. And that is what gave Brisbane a 2-0 lead eventually. This is miscue from the shortstop for Brisbane. Pineda on the errant throw would have been the final out of the inning, but allows a run to score. Declan Spears, give him credit. 2 outs, puts the ball in play. Good things tend to happen when you can put the ball in play. Eventually, the floodgates will open for Melbourne with especially runners in scoring position, but finally the Aces able to break through a little bit, and they score a couple of runs in the bottom of the 6th. Then we're all tied up at 2 as we go to the 7th. So Yuito Mai takes over, and he has been good this season. 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, has walked 6, so that's been a little bit of a concern, but a lot of that came early in the year. Maybe some nerves early on in the season. And he has since settled in. 3 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings coming into tonight. He's not given up a run in a week and a half, so he's on a good run there. He takes over for John Kennedy, who goes 2/3, struck out 2, and allowed a couple of inherited runners to score. But again, both of those unearned runs off of Gunnar Kynes. 5 1/3, 4 hits, 2 unearned runs for Kynes, no walks, 8 strikeouts. That's a season high for any Aces pitcher this year. So here is Mai. He'll face Skepton, Nilsson, and Battaglia. 2-2 our score as we venture into the final 3 innings of regulation. Got a late start tonight. Didn't get underway until 7:30, actually 7:34 to be specific, but had a lot of water on the field after a ton of rain fell overnight and into the morning, and so had to take an extra few minutes to get the field prepared for tonight's ball game. And it's been a good one. This entire series has been pretty good. Chris Burke with the triple on the misplay from Rushford out in center field, got over his head. That made it 2-1, and the error tied the game. We're level at 2 to the 7th. First pitch from Mai, swung on a miss from Skepton. 1 for 2 with a double in the game. How about all the folks enjoying the night in the suite behind home plate, the corporate suite? That place is packed this evening.
Whole ballpark's packed. I just had a quick look out there, and people having a good time everywhere.
Swing and a miss, 0-2. Of course, more to cheer about now with a couple of runs and a tie game going to the 7th.
Just about to say that. You're right.
It really does feel like first-class treatment with that corporate suite. You see the blankets provided, a little chilly tonight. So if you do indeed want to watch the game from outside, can be a little bit more comfortable doing so. Skepton 9 for his first 20. And time is called by Skepton as he steps out. And Yuito Mai gets ready with an 0-2 pitch. Evan Rutsky up and warming for Melbourne. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Yuito Mai strikes out Skepton in 11th K for Aces pitching tonight. Kynes had 8, Kennedy with 2, and now Uito Mai with one. One out, nobody on base. Here is Mitch Nielsen. Nielsen 0 for 2. And behind in the count, 0-1. 2 runs, 5 hits, an error for Melbourne. 2 runs, 4 hits, an error for Brisbane. Bandits have won 4 consecutive games currently. Somehow not the longest winning streak in the ABL because Adelaide won again in Game 1 of the doubleheader. Now, I don't know what happened in Game 2, but the Giants had won. Get my math correct here in a moment. Here's the 0-2. Swing and a miss. Mai strikes out Nielsen. And back-to-back Ks for Uito Mai. 2 down here in the 7th inning, and here comes Ryan Battaglia,
who was struck out twice tonight. It's been a tough night for him, filling in for Young Chun, the catcher.
Here's the pitch. And it's inside, ball 1. So Adelaide with a win in Game 1 of the doubleheader against Sydney. 6 straight. The Giants 9-1 in their first 10.
Amazing.
Meanwhile, the Blue Sox, through 7 innings, guess they're playing 9 in Game 2, up 5-1. That would make sense. That's what the Aces and Heat did 2 weeks ago. But Sydney is up 5-1.
Now I'm seeing a bit of rain out there, Michael, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, a little bit of mist.
Yeah.
Nothing quite like the rain that we saw throughout the night on Thursday. That was pretty miserable.
It's been a rain-filled weekend, no doubt about that.
Well, Phil Herden checks in, tells us Adelaide-Sydney Game 3 actually in a rain delay, so that would make sense.
Ah, gotcha.
Well, it's tough to tell what's going on in the box score. 2-1.
Count on Phil to give you the update. He knows his stuff, does Phil Herden. Been around the game a long time. Very helpful to all the broadcasters
Unbelievably
around the
helpful,
Australian Baseball League. Good man.
That's how we get the rosters each and every week, at least how I get the rosters each and every week. 2-2. And a pitch low from Mai, count full. 2 outs. And Mai looking for a 1-2-3 7th. The Bandits have gone down in order 3 times tonight. In fact, in every odd-numbered inning. Here's the payout pitch. And pop foul will do it again. The 7th inning would follow suit with that trend. 3 up, 3 down to the 1st, 3rd, 5th, and Mai trying to do the same here in the 7th. Full count. And a pitch. That is hit a mile foul down the left field line.
It really was.
My goodness.
That really was hit hard. But clearly foul from the moment it left the bat. And I do see a couple of umbrellas up. So
yeah, it does seem like the rain's actually picked up a little bit over these last 30 seconds or so.
I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, but there didn't seem like much of a threat of rain. But again, this is Melbourne.
Mm-hmm. Payout pitch. Inside, ball 4.
Good at-bat for Battaglia, who'd been, down on the count for – he struck out twice, so that's a really nice at-bat from the veteran.
Yeah, he's had a good start to the year, though, too, in relief duty. Rutsky warming up for Melbourne. One night after making that play that made the rounds on social media last night with an unreal grab on a line drive that he caught basically no look behind his back. There's a look at the rain falling.
There it is.
It's nothing more than that's just what we call a good Pacific Northwest misting, right?
That's what I grew up with, just about.
There's Laverton right in the middle of the radar. We're in Altona, but not too far away from the Laverton train station. About 10-minute walk.
Laverton North, Altona, right in that little area.
I learned the hard way when I called it Laverton.
Oh, yeah.
When I first showed up.
That's because you've been listening to the map thing, right? Siri or whatever. They say Laverton. Yeah. It's very hard, the pronunciation. You got to find it first. But that's everywhere, isn't it? There's a place in Oregon called Scappoose, and you always notice the people new to the area on the news say Scappoose. You immediately know you're an out-of-towner until you learn how to say Scappoose. So similar here.
Well, it's 3-0 here to Riley with Rushford on deck. Strike one. There's actually a place in Nebraska about an hour and a half north of Lincoln. It's spelled Norfolk, which you would think is Norfolk, but it's actually on the fork of a river, and the locals call it Norfolk.
Right.
Very strange. 3-1. That high ball, 4 back-to-back walks. Walks have been an issue at times for Mai. John Diebel out of the dugout, and against the lefty, Rushford.
Yep, I think he's going to go with Rutsky, isn't he?
Well, we'll wait and see.
I thought I saw him point.
Yep, he is. So a pitching change here with 2 on and 2 out, and a lefty specialist, Evan Rutsky, coming in. Mai with a couple of strikeouts, but then walks to Battaglia and Riley, and the inning continues. After a little bit of confusion, Diebel has to point again to the Melbourne bullpen. And now Rutsky is coming in. So 2 on, 2 out, tied at 2, top of the 7th. It's a good one in Game 3 of this series.
When enjoying a punt, easy does it with Punt 123. Punt123.bet is your home for all your punting needs with same race multis and same game multi options, including daily promotions on all the major sporting and racing events. It's punting made easy. Get in the game with Punt 123. Visit punt123.bet or download the app today.
Gamble responsibly. If gambling becomes an issue for you, call 1-800-858-858.
Light and Easy have been named Best Healthy Meal Delivery Service again, but you won't find us stopping to celebrate. We're busy making it easy for Aussies to achieve their well-being goals, and the results speak for themselves. Light and Easy, just good food and great results.
Evan Rutsky on in the 7th inning. 2 on, 2 out, a punt 1-2-3 pitching change. Second consecutive night for Rutsky. New ERA, 4 1/3 innings this season, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. Former 16th round pick of the Yankees in 2010. Out of St. Joseph's Catholic High School in St. Thomas, Ontario. Second year with Melbourne. Last year, 3-1, a 3.43 ERA. Made an outstanding play that was an eyelash away from starting a triple play in last night's game on a sharp comebacker off the bat of that would have been Tatum Hall last night. Get my facts straight. Tatum Hall had the sharp comebacker, and Rutsky with a sharp catch, reaching down almost to basically the back of his shoes to make a no-look catch, then threw to second. You and I in real time didn't realize that he had made the catch because it was tough to tell from where we were. So he turns around, throws to second, thinking at least he's going to try and get double play out of this, perhaps 3. And then after you saw Hall just kind of walking down the first base line, you realized he made the catch. And as that was happening, Glendenning's throw to first unfortunately hit the helmet of Jack Pineda trying to run back to first to avoid being tripled up. That was the only thing standing in between of Evan Rutsky, the Aces, and turning a triple play, which has not happened often in franchise history.
No, it'd be a lot of fun to watch that, too. It almost was.
So big moment here in a 2-2 game with 2 on and 2 out. Evan Rutsky takes over to face Rushford. Fritsch to waiting on deck. Rushford in the game is 1 for 3. Single and a run scored in the 6th. Snapped a 1 for 19 with that base hit in the 6th inning. And he grounds this. First pitch to Khalil. And 1 pitch, Evan Rutsky out of the jam and a subtle little clinch of the fist as he walks off to the first base dugout. 2 runners inherited, 2 runners stranded. We go to the bottom of the 7th, tied at 2 from Melbourne Ballpark.
Your turn to sing along. Here we go.
One Love is there for the moments with the people you love the most. To share the highs and the lows together. It's the one for all people, all times, and all places. Brick Lane's One Love Pale Ale. It's the one for all.
Oh, we've been there for every game, the 4 and 25. When Meatloaf overcooked it and Gregan saved that try. When Brownie takes one for the team and Bradley skated by. This golden crusty pastry watched as Taylor kicked the sky. When Ben Simmons makes a 3. We give a big high five. What future sport looks like just won't be right without a pie. Oh, what a lovely pie, me mates are 4 and 25. Oi!
Job well done by Evan Rutsky and Declan Spears. Didn't have to do much. Rutsky inherited 2 runners and threw 1 pitch after a couple of walks from Yuito Mai. Rushford grounds out. And we go to the bottom of the 7th inning after the 7th inning stretch. And a 2-2 ball game. 2 runs, 5 hits, and error for Melbourne. 2 runs, 4 hits, and error for Brisbane. And back out Holland for his 2nd inning in relief. Took over with 1 out in, 2 outs in the 6th. And it was Spears who reached down the error. That allowed the tying run to score, and George Khalil with a strikeout after that was the 2 batters that Holland faced. So facing the top 3, Whitefield, George, and Glendenning.
See if the top of the order can do what the bottom of the order did, Michael, and get a run or 2.
First pitch. And Whitefield grounds it foul into the Brisbane dugout.
Yeah.
Whitefield 0 for 3 with a couple of flyouts and a strikeout. Daryl George on deck has had a big night. 2 doubles and a walk. We are tied at 2 here in the bottom of the 7th. And a ground ball towards second. Riley had to shuffle, but he's there to make the play. And there's 1 out here in the 7th inning.
Yeah, he's been pretty solid in the field. In fact, the infield, Brisbane infield, been pretty solid in general.
Well, here's Daryl for a 4th time. He's reached all 3 times. A couple of extra base hits. His 2nd multi-extra base hit game of the season. And you can guess when the other one happened against Perth 2 weeks ago when he hit 2 home runs. His 4th multi-home run game as a Melbourne ace. He takes inside ball 1 from Holland. A couple of guys who have faced each other plenty of times over the years, Holland and Daryl George.
Indeed, they have.
And that's well struck, right field. That ball is back there, and that ball is gone. His 3rd extra base hit tonight, his 3rd home run of the season. And a big swing from Daryl George in the bottom of the 7th inning. Melbourne with its first lead tonight.
Crowd is going nuts. They've been chanting his name all night. George delivers with his 3rd hit of the night. And a round tripper to give the Aces a 3-2 lead. Listen to that.
3rd home run, 5th RBI. And another big swing on a Saturday night at Melbourne Ballpark. Ground ball this time to Pineda. And Glendenning retired, 2 outs, but how about Daryl George?
He is something special, I gotta tell you.
Well, Daryl had a pretty good year last year, but I think he's quietly putting together a very good start to 2023-24. And that's something I feel like we haven't talked a whole lot about. We talked a lot about Glendenning, the on base, and Khalil, obviously, and Greg Bird, but quietly, Darryl George has been one of probably the 10 best hitters in the ABL to start the season. And he's going to be way up there on a lot of those leaderboards. When we wake up tomorrow with 3 extra base hits here tonight, he's reached all 4 times. Greg Bird takes low.
You know, and again, as we've said, just one of those guys you come to the ballpark to watch, right? He's can do it in the field, obviously can do it at the bat. He's a great guy. He's an Aces legend, and that's it well, too.
That is way back there, and that ball is gone. The second in the series for Greg Bird. 2 homers in the 7th. The Aces have gotten to Holland, and they lead it 4-2.
Well, we jokingly called him the Walkman because he's leading the league in walks, but he's also the home run man. He delivers there in the Aces with a 4-2 lead.
Well, that's one way to extend the 9-game on-base streak. Look at Zion Bannister. Kind of a subtle gritty, if you will, in the first base dugout. The Aces on top by 2, and they have gotten to one of the league's all-time great relievers, and this hit Sugisawa. So Holland gives up a couple of home runs and now hits Ryu Sugisawa aboard for the second time tonight. Came inside and had no time to get out of the way.
No.
Well, here's a visit out of the third base dugout. This is not an inning that has gone according to plan for Holland.
No, it hasn't. You can say that again.
And Brisbane has been prone to the home run ball so far this season. The pitching staff has been good. Here's the first from Darryl George, and that is just right over the plate.
We knew that was gone.
Easily. Pointing to the dugout before it even left the yard.
The dugout or his pals up in the party deck? Maybe both.
And that is Bird, a professional.
You could tell
Major
Campbell
League
just
swing.
gave up on that right away. Chance. He knew that was gone.
And that also might not have left the yard in the first 2 nights of this series. Runner goes, first pitch, a strike. Throw to second, looks good. It's right there, and it's in time. So Sugisawa caught stealing, and the inning comes to an end. But the Aces with a couple of homers. First George, then Bird. And after 7 innings, Melbourne with a 4-2 lead from Melbourne Ballpark.
Light and Easy have been named Best Healthy Meal Delivery Service again, but you won't find us stopping to celebrate. We're busy making it easy for Aussies to achieve their well-being goals, and the results speak for themselves. Light and Easy, just good food and great results.
Yeah, you can definitely see the rain there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Come back to Melbourne Park. Ed Wyatt, Michael Dixon with you. Aces with a 4-2 lead here in the top of the 8th.
Boy, they're not fazed by the rain whatsoever. He's got some good moves, too. You can tell he's probably watched some Star Wars in his time. Evan Rutsky back out for the 8th inning. And Dermot Fritsch, the third baseman, will lead things off, followed by Pineda and Hall. Rutsky threw 1 pitch to retire Rushford and in the 7th. And after that, in a 2-2 game, Darryl George with a 1-out home run made it 3-2. And then Greg Bird with a solo home run, just a batter later. I guess 2 batters later, the right way to put that. But it is the 3rd time the Aces have hit multiple home runs in an inning this year. So while we haven't seen a ton of home runs across the ABL, the Aces are second, or at least they have the second most home runs in the ABL this year, and it just feels like they come in bunches.
It does, doesn't it?
First pitch to Fritsch. And it's low from Rutsky, ball 1. Fritsch.
The pest.
Yeah.
Dermot Fritsch.
1 for 3 with a run scored in this game. He's 6 for 11 in the series. And he also walked twice yesterday. That's how much of an issue he's been. Here's the 1-0. A little bit low. You know, going back, the end of that inning kind of happened quickly, so we didn't really get a whole lot of time to talk about those home runs at length. But while the pitch from Holland was a mistake, middle to Darryl George, and he's obviously going to, at least has the chance to do a lot with that, and he did. I thought it was impressive. The pitch to Greg Bird really wasn't that bad. It maybe a little bit elevated from where you'd want to pitch to Greg Bird, but it gives you an idea of why he made it to the big leagues, hit 32 big league home runs, because the way he covered the plate and went the other way just so effortlessly, especially to a part of the ballpark that he's hard to hit home runs in here at Melbourne Ballpark. Again, a little bit easier tonight without that heavy wind blowing in from left center field, but still, nonetheless, an impressive home run from Greg Bird, and you can see why he got to where he did and played 4 seasons in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, 2 opposite field home runs.
And that, of course, is not to take anything away from Darryl George, because if you're Darryl, you love nothing more than middle with that fastball from Holland.
Yep.
But with Greg Bird, what he might be able to do throughout the course of this 40-game season, could be talking about something special in the context of franchise history at the end of this season. 3-2 to Fritsch leading off. And a ground ball right back to Rutsky. This is much easier than the play he made last night.
Yes, it was.
And I'm sure Rutsky would tell you as much glamour as he got with the post that made the rounds. I think it's up to like 500 Facebook likes, which is a lot. He'll tell you it'll probably take the gentle comebacker 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So here's Pineda, perhaps a 5-game hitting streak on the line right here. 4-2 in the top of the 8th inning. 1 out, nobody on base. Pineda 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Melbourne with 2 runs in the 6th, 2 in the 7th. And a 2-run lead. And a game that feels very similar to Game 3 against Peru. All the way back on in round 1. Remember, it was just the spark that the Aces used in the middle innings and a couple of big home runs.
Yep.
Glendening and Darryl George went back-to-back in that game. Darryl George had a couple of home runs. It started with a great start from Lewis Thorpe tonight, an outstanding outing from Gunnar Kimes with only a couple of unearned runs allowed in 5 1/3 innings of season-best 8 strikeouts, no walks. And a cold strike at the knees from Rutsky to Pineda, lefty on lefty.
Nice pitch. And now it's about just getting down to business, shutting them down. Don't leave the door ajar to give Brisbane any opportunity at all to get back on, get on this thing. Get out of this inning, close them down in the 9th. Add a couple maybe if you can. Add a couple in the bottom of the 8th and then get them done in the 9th. Win tomorrow and you got the split. Just like we talked about in the pregame.
The Aces on the road next week, first of 3 consecutive road series. Tough matchup with Adelaide.
That'll
be a good one, though.
Yeah, sure will be.
Yoko Yama warming up for Melbourne. And a ground ball pulled to second. Khalil's got to hurry. And he makes it look easy. 2 down here in the top of the 8th.
Yep, good work from Khalil.
Yoko Yama with a couple of saves. He's been the de facto closer to the first 2 rounds, and very well could have a chance to close out Game 3 if things go according to plan.
Here's Tate and Hall.
How about Greg Bird? Looking on. Got a night off from the field. Yeah, the DH tonight. Big home run in the Aces' little breathing room, 4-2 in the 8th. It's amazing, too. Tweet out those Greg Bird home runs and get this weird section of Yankee fan Twitter that,
is that right?
They're just obsessed with the notion that Greg Bird is playing in Melbourne after he had such a fantastic start to his Yankees career. Unfortunately cut short to injuries, but wasn't all that long ago, too, that he was postseason hero in one of those series for the Yankees in 2017. ALDS against the Cleveland then Indians, now Guardians. But it's been a thrill to watch him come into his own here in Melbourne. Here's the 2-1. Now back 2-2. He got off to a slow start, remember, a slow start in quotation marks, because in a 40-game season, 2 games is a lot. So he had a quiet first couple of games, and he's basically been maybe the best hitter in the league since. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Rutsky's retired all 3 he's faced. And perhaps make it 4. Soft pop-up, foul ground. Dale over. He can't make the catch.
It was bumped up right against that net down there on the third base line. I think we might get a shot of it. I'm not sure. Tricky play for him.
The wind swirling tonight. I think first 2 nights of this series, that probably stays in play because the wind doesn't carry it as far over into foul territory as Dale had to go. Trying to put Hall away. Rutsky ready. And then Rutsky deals. Fouled off.
Staying alive again.
Hall with a double in the 4th inning, 1 for 3 here tonight. Goyama continuing to warm up. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Ball picked up by Spears. He tags out Hall. And Rutsky with a strikeout of the young first baseman. Retires all 4 he faces. He's had a great start to the year. And he puts the cherry on top of a 1-2-3 8th inning. We go to the bottom half. Melbourne by 2.
At the Sporting Globe, we're a little different to other pubs and bars. We have more than just cooks, we have chefs. We have more than bar service, we have table service. We have more than specials, we have specialties. We have more than live sporting events, we have atmosphere. And we have more than customers, we have fans. It's more than a sports bar, it's a Sporting Globe.
There's an unseen thread woven into the fabric of all Australian homes. It's our way of life. Sun-kissed days, afternoon storms, and memories shared with those we love. It's messy, but you bet we make it work. In the end, it's the simple things that make an Australian home home. And what did the trick then? It still does the job now. Hills, Australia's trusted clothesline since 1945.
Well, the rain falling a little more heavily as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning, but all smiles right now for the Aces. John Kennedy. And a couple of inherited runners that he allowed, but both of those unearned. Miscue. And right now, the Melbourne bullpen trying to get to the finish line with the Aces offensively coming through in the 6th inning and 7th innings. Evan Rutsky was fantastic as they joke around with Sho Fukunaga. Hopefully he's all right. But
yeah, that was a good sign.
Yeah,
if they're messing around in the dugout with him, he can't be too badly hurt.
Speaking of, I thought I saw pretty good body language last night from Jared Dale as well.
Yep.
And here is Dale behind the count, 0-2, with Holland back out there for the 8th inning. So Holland came in to pitch the remainder of the 6th. He was in there for the 7th, back out for the 8th. Nobody up in the Brisbane bullpen.
No, Shane Watson told us, remember, on Sunday they were going to kind of do pitch by committee, so maybe he's trying to just save a pitcher.
Well, Holland, too, very similar to John Kennedy. He's basically the right-handed John Kennedy, if you will. Long history in this league, and he's been used a lot in longer relief.
Yes.
He started from time to time as well, but some steady rainfall falling. George Khalil is still a few batters away from stepping to. Dale Burke and Spears coming through in this 8th inning, and then we'll see George Khalil if it gets to him.
I guess, Holland's a veteran, right? So you trust him out there to get through this potentially. Knows what he's doing rather than bring someone else on, burn that arm out for tomorrow.
Yep. Well, the rain's really starting to pick up.
Yeah, I think you're seeing Dale go to the sticky stuff to get that back on the bat.
You can pretty much judge it anytime fans start to scramble for some cover, and that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, it's a really good point,
especially if you didn't bring an umbrella.
Yeah, I can see people moving now. You're right.
Pretty close to the finish line, at least we hope. Dale stays alive to lead off this 8th inning. Well, how did we get here? Top of the 6th inning. A couple of runs came in to score 2 unearned runs that are on Gunnar Kynes' ledger. Kynes 5 1/3, 4 hits, 2 unearned runs, no walks, 8 strikeouts. And then the Aces came through. Perhaps a little fortunate misplay from Rushford on what was a triple for Burke. That was with 2 outs, made it 2-1, and then Declan Spears reached on a throwing error from the shortstop Pineda, and now it was 2-2. Good things happen when you put the ball in play. The Aces had done that with runners in scoring position, just hadn't found a way through. So, with a couple of miscues, they were back in the game, and then big hitters coming through, and a big moment.
Oh, it's a good pitch.
It is. Dale down looking. 1 out at the bottom of the 8th inning. We just saw him on the screen a few moments ago, but Darryl George goes the opposite way for his 3rd home run. That gave the Aces a 3-2 lead in the 7th, and a couple of batters later, Greg Bird, his 2nd of the series. A couple of opposite field home runs in this 7th inning. And that is where Melbourne has a 2-run cushion. Chris Burke with that RBI triple in the 6th. That Melbourne off the schneid.
Huge.
Aaron Whitefield and John Diebel know each other quite well. Their involvement with Team Australia through the years.
Low count is 1-1. Burke and then Declan Spears on deck.
It's been a good night at the ballpark.
Yeah. Can we say decks on deck? I think we can.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Deck being a nickname for Declan, for those in the States not familiar with that name. It's not exactly the most popular American name, Declan.
Who's the first Declan you think of? Outside of Spears, of course. Come on.
Declan McManus is Elvis Costello's real name, but...
Well, today I learned. I didn't know that, but I think of Declan Rice.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Come on, I give you a layup.
Arsenal midfielder. Yeah. I wasn't thinking football.
We can't sneak the Gunners enough.
I wasn't thinking football. Oh, boy, that was a good-looking pitch. One ball, 2 strikes, or 2-2, in fact, to count on Burke.
It's been a good, lively night at the ballpark.
Agreed. Well, I think the crowd has a lot to do with that. It's been a lively crowd.
I think the guys in the party deck have a big reason.
Kept it going. Yeah.
We got pushed back 30 minutes. Easy to forget about that with all that we've seen since.
True.
And I think you made the astute point that might have helped people get a few more beverages.
Potentially.
Swing and a miss from Chris Burke, 2 down in the 8th inning. That's my dad's theory on Monday Night Football, by the way, why it's such a raucous.
Yeah.
Most people take the day off.
Yeah.
And they get going early and go all night.
I can attest to that. When I was in Seattle, the Monday night crowd was. This was prior to the new field, so the Kingdome, way back, wasn't as electric as the current Seattle crowd. But yeah, Monday night was always crazy, always.
I think the only Monday night. Well, I take that back. I've seen 2 Monday night games live. The only one that I saw at Old Texas Stadium was actually the famous. I think it was a Monday night. It was a night game. But it was the famous Drew Bledsoe replaced it. It was Spears a little hobbled up. Aces can't really afford too many more nicks and bruises. Yeah,
especially the catchers.
Yeah, it's one of those where you're shouting from the dugout.
Good Lord. Here we go.
Got to shake it off, buddy. Need you out there.
Too much tonight.
Oh, right off the knee.
Jeez.
But it was the classic Drew Bledsoe replaced at halftime by Tony Romo.
Oh,
Romo threw 3 interceptions, but almost led the Cowboys back in the second half. Maybe we should push every game back 30 minutes if the Aces have lost a couple of games.
If the Aces win it.
You lose 2 straight, push it back 30 minutes, and let the fans really get juiced up and ready to go. Maybe invite a local AFL team or a footy team. Really juice people up. 3-1 here to Spears. Took over for Fukunaga.
Yeah, good at-bat from Declan here.
That was back in the 4th inning. Sure hope that Cho is all right. And a broken bat pop-up. This is going to be a tough play. And that is well made by the Brisbane infield. Good play by Hall and a great job done by Holland to cover. That was not conventional.
Agreed.
And I think it cost Declan a bat, too, in on the hand. And sure enough, you saw that shrapnel fly off, land right in front of the plate. We go to the 9th. The Aces are 3 outs away as the rain continues to fall. But Melbourne with a 4-2 lead here at MVP.
When enjoying a punt, easy does it with Punt 123. Punt123.bet is your home for all your punting needs with same race multis and same game multi options, including daily promotions on all the major sporting and racing events. It's punting made easy. Get in the game with Punt 123. Visit punt123.bet or download the app today.
Gamble responsibly. If gambling becomes an issue for you, call 1-800-858-858.
At Ublinds Australia, it's our great low prices that make the difference. In our end of summer Aloha clearance sale, save from 30% up to 50% off our range of blinds, shutters and awnings. Ublinds Australia, more value for you.
Welcome back to Melbourne Ballpark. There you can see that the guys in the party deck really sort of rugging up because the rain is really pelting down now. As the Aces, look at that, that's one of the smarter people at the ballpark. Got the big umbrella sitting out there in the rain, and that really is starting to come down now here. What you want to do if you're the Aces is get out of this quickly.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, boom, end this thing. Don't let Brisbane hang around at all and, force anything and to where any sort of weather's going to impact this. Just go boom, boom, boom. Get out of this thing.
Yeah, that's an awesome shot right there with the rain. It's really picked up last 5 or so minutes.
Yeah.
Coming down pretty good right now. And I think if we weren't so close to the finish line, they might think about putting tarps on the mound and the home plate circle, but you might as well try and power through. Now we've got a delay here. Speaking with the translator, that's Kaede Yokoyama. Punt 1-2-3 pitching change here in the 9th. 4 runs, 7 hits, an error for Melbourne. 2 runs, 4 hits, 1 error for Brisbane. Evan Rutsky in line to get the win. Retired all 4 batters he faced in relief. So he comes on and inherits 2 runners in the 7th. 1 pitch, the final out. Rushford grounded out, and he goes 3 up, 3 down in the 8th. That was after the Aces had the home runs from George and Bird to take the lead in the bottom of the 7th. So Rutsky very deserving in line for the win, and Yokoyama trying to pick up his 3rd save.
Yeah, that's great work from Rutsky. Absolutely. And now, as I said, if Yokoyama can just get through this, work a little quickly if he can. Nothing outrageous, but You just don't want to open the door at all, as I said, to let this thing drift into the ninth, the bottom of the ninth, or even extra innings or something like that and bring any delay into it. Just want to try and get these outs, throw some strikes, get out of this thing.
Melbourne up by a pair. Yokoyama has not allowed an earned run. We haven't seen him in this series. Last pitched at Canberra on Sunday. It was not a save situation for him. Through one inning, struck out a batter, 10 pitches, 8 strikes. He's converted both save chances, and through 4 innings has not walked the batter with 5 strikeouts. So Kaede Yokoyama trying to move into a tie with Carter Hope, the Brisbane closer who got the save in Game 1 of this series Thursday night. And in similar conditions, too.
Indeed.
Steady rainfall and chilly temperatures. John Deeble looks on. I know that Deebs believes this team has what it takes to be one of the best in this league. And just a matter of working through some things early on. First pitch over the inside corner from Yokoyama to Andrew Campbell, who's 0 for 3 in the game. The Aces up by 2.
Good pitch. Wow.
Yokoyama working with those long sleeves down each arm.
Wouldn't you in this weather?
Absolutely. That is a rocket, but right at Darryl George. If he hasn't done enough on offense, what a play to retire Campbell for the first out here in the ninth.
That's beautiful. That's what I said. You come to the ballpark to see him hit, field, entertain. He does them all.
That brings up Alex Skepton. That was hit on the nose, right
hit hard
at Darryl George. Breaking ball earlier in the at-bat always helps to jump out in front.
There's Darryl. Just casually standing there like, yeah, it's made a great play.
For a guy who's played very little first base this season. A check swing appeal down, and he did go, according to the first base umpire, Casey Cook, and that was met with a warm reception.
Got a lot of people now underneath the covers here, so it's like,
yeah, I like it.
Much louder.
Skepta didn't love the call. Perhaps Casey Cook getting a little uncomfortable out there.
Crowd has been great tonight.
Here's the 0-1. Fouled off. Well, Skepton with a scorching hot start. He's 9 for his first 21. 1 for 3 with a double here tonight. A couple of strikeouts, but what a good young ball player this young Aussie appears to be. Not many skeptics on Skepton. Had to fit that one in before Brisbane left.
No, you're right. It's good.
Here's the 0-2.
Oh.
That might have been an issue with the grip.
Yes.
You could tell Yokoyama just didn't look fully himself after delivering that. Trying to pick up his third save. Great start for this young Oryx Buffalo. One of 4 Oryx Buffaloes with the Aces this season. Here's the 1-2. A little bit low. Oryx lost in the Japan series.
They did to the Hanshin Tigers. First
standing Japan series that was.
1985, I think. Yeah, incredible. 7 games. Great series.
Oryx had to win Game 6. Forced the Game 7, and
Hanshin won it.
2-2 with 1 out. And Brisbane needs a base runner. Melbourne up by 2. Swing and a miss. Fastball right down the middle. Yokoyama says, come and get it, and Skepton cannot. 3 strikeouts for the young Aussie tonight. 2 outs. Yokoyama 1 out away from his third save, and the Aces 1 out away from a much-needed victory here in Game 3.
What did I say? Get in, get out. 3 quick outs, boom. Win this thing.
Well, it's up to Mitch Nielsen, 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. He is really struggling. Average now sits at 118. And this series 1 for 10. Has had a little bit more success against righties. Does not have a hit against lefties this season. Pops this up. And the Aces 2 strikes away here tonight. Game 4 this series tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock first pitch time. Right here on Aces TV through YouTube and Facebook. I know a lot of folks watch on both YouTube and Facebook. Here's the 1-1. And it's a little bit low. 2 balls and a strike.
Yeah, I love the comments on Facebook. Feel free to drop us a line. Let us know where you're listening from. I enjoy going through them and looking and seeing people from Alexandria, Virginia, or wherever they're watching from.
Yeah, we have seen from Alexandria, and that's 4 or 5 a.m. That is some dedication to the Melbourne Aces. Here's the 3-1. And pop foul. Goyama has Brisbane down to its final strike. Battaglia is next if it gets to him. Nielsen has to reach to extend the game. Debo looks on from the dugout. The Aces 1 strike away. Here's the pitch. Fly ball in the air should do it. Sugisawa trots in near the line, makes the catch, and the Aces take game 3 by a final score of 4-2. Much needed top to bottom. A game that felt very similar to the game 3 against Perth when Melbourne also needed to win a couple of weeks ago, and give the Aces a ton of credit for buckling down and doing exactly what they needed to do.
Absolutely right. Perseverance, getting runners on, bringing those runners around, cobbling together runs. Great stuff.
Well, we'll step aside and come back with the final totals. Melbourne wins it by a final score of 4-2. Well, back here at Melbourne Ballpark, where the Aces victorious in Game 3 by a final score of 4-2. Michael Dixon, Ed Wyatt with you. And the Aces come through in a big way. Needed to win here tonight. Never must win this early in the year, but it does feel like need to win. And we'll go back through tonight's highlights. John Kennedy inherited 2 runners in the 6th inning. Very nearly got through it, but it was this play right here. Just tough luck. Again, it might have taken a weird hop on Khalil as he tried to go play it, and it kicked off his ankle.
He scored a run. To the ankle. Really bad.
It was tough.
Yeah.
And so you thought that Melbourne might get out of the inning. Instead, 1 run scores. That was on the ledger of Gunnar Kynes, but Kynes did not allow an earned run and missed the wild pitch. Of course, a little bit of inexperience, perhaps, from Declan Spears that he'll obviously come.
Pitch,
And then in the bottom of the 6th inning, this was a huge play in the game when you really look back at it. Misplay from Rushford in center. Goes down to the triple for Burke. That made it 2-1. And that was exactly what the Aces needed. You and I talked about it. When runners in scoring position, the hits weren't quite there, but the contact was.
Yes.
And you just got to keep putting the ball in play. Good things are going to happen. And that's exactly what we were talking about with the triple from Chris Burke.
Yeah, situational hitting. We talked about that. And then this next play here, the throw. Good field, bad throw.
Yep.
And that allows Burke to score the 2nd run. Spears down to second.
And again,
suddenly we're tied.
Put the ball in play,
Put
right?
the ball in play.
That's exactly what Declan Spears did.
Yep.
And so tough mix-up with him and Kennedy, and this was the big swing. The eventual game-winning run on the go-ahead home run from Darryl George at the bottom of the 7th, his 3rd of the season. Another opposite field shot for Darryl, and he's on a roll right now.
That was an absolute monster shot. Love the point here. He comes around. I think he's pointing at the party deck. We've been chanting his name all night, but maybe the dugout as well. Just Darryl the showman, right? He can hit, he can field. He's a good guy. He's a team man. Look at that. Look how excited the team is. I love Zion Bannister. He's had a rough couple of days.
Yep.
He's in there fired up, being a good teammate. Great stuff.
And here's Greg Bird. That is a former big leaguer right there with a way to cover the plate, go the opposite way for his second of the series. Wasn't even that bad of a pitch. Holland's looking like, come on, man. And again, that dugout's having a ton of fun. Greg Bird.
Love it.
With his second of the series and a little insurance, though. Melbourne didn't need it with Kaede Yokoyama following Evan Rutsky. They combined to retire the final 7 Bandits of the ballgame and a well-deserved win for Melbourne here tonight. So, you and I talked about it, Ed. Needed to come out. Ace is happy. I think he's enjoying the rain too. He's had a late start. Well, and also, his dad Mick has been working hard. Yeah, so Ace has a nice doggy nap upcoming, probably on the ride back home. Anyways, so the Aces, of course, not must win, but you really want to win a game like this. You don't want to have to approach a Game 4 avoiding a sweep in the ABL, and this feels very similar to the Perth series. We talked about that last night, and we also said the good news, the Aces won the final 2 games of that series, and this felt like a mirror image to me of Game 3 in that Perth series.
Absolutely right, and the only thing that the Aces didn't do tonight was get the early lead, which we talked about, but getting the runners on, moving them around, and getting them in, and they did it, cobbling a couple together early, and then the 2 big hits from George and Bird, which essentially won the thing. So, yeah, great signs, and let's not forget, heck of a job again by Aces pitching. Gunnar Kynes in his first outing. Remarkable effort from him. So the pitching continues to be good. The hitting coming around and doing a great job tonight. This is a great team win tonight, and you could see that looking at that dugout. There hasn't been any loss of belief among that team. They look great. They look fired up into it, and that's a great thing going forward.
Quick note really quickly. Well, obviously it's a quick note really quickly. Quick note. Told you at the top, the Aces with a 2.96 ERA through 10 games. Third best start ERA-wise in franchise history. 2 unearned runs allowed tonight, so that number's only going to go down.
That's right.
And the start to the season for the Melbourne pitching staff has just been fantastic. And you mentioned Kynes in total control. Kennedy, a couple of inherited runs came in to score, but both of them unearned because of that misfortunate error from unfortunate error from Khalil at second base, and then you get 4 up, 4 down from Rutsky after he inherited a couple of runners in the 7th, and then 3 up, 3 down for Yokoyama for his 3rd save in the 9th inning. The bullpen, very impressive.
Yep, absolutely right. And the other thing I will say tonight, shout out to the crowd. Crowd really brought some energy tonight. Really great. Love to see people out at the ballpark tomorrow, melbourneaces.com.au, or just come on out to the ballpark and grab a ticket out here because the Aces go away for 3 weeks after this. So you want to come out and see some baseball.
Final totals tonight, Melbourne 4, 7-1 and 7, Brisbane 2, 4-1 and 5. Rutsky the win, Holland takes the loss, Yokoyama the save. And it was played in 2 hours and 56 minutes, 1,257 in attendance here tonight. For Ed Wyatt and our entire Sportscast Australia crew, I'm Michael Dixon saying so long from the broadcast booth behind home plate at Melbourne Ballpark. The Aces needed a win. They got exactly that, a complete team victory, as Ed said. They beat the Bandits 4-2 and now have a chance to salvage a series split tomorrow. First pitch time, 1 o'clock, and we'll talk to you again.
This broadcast is powered by Sportscast Australia.